Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here, and welcome to episode 73 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by, he suffered through the entire Halo TV show himself, Lord Cognito.
Yo, that was a labor of love. I love the game. Man. I went through it.
I love the game.
I went through it. Yeah, shout out to you, man. Man, we might as well get right into it, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get right into it. Shout out to Addict, man. Shout out to my gaming brother from another mother. Real dude, man. Good friend. And he's so passionate about Halo, so it's good to have him on. I know everybody else, we would try to get all of you guys. I know, Maddie, you got things going on with your channel, stuff going on with, Chris. Everybody was like either caught up and like me and Addict were ready. So we was just like, we got to let this off. So please check out that DDU, the Halo TV series spoilercast. It's up right now. Go check that out. Another ultimate. And we did it cool. We did it smooth on an episode by episode breakdown. And we really got into it. Also, we were fair. We were fair. I was proud I was fair. I thought I was fair.
Yeah. Props to you guys, I guess. From what I've heard, what I've seen, it was one of those situations where we were trying to like create a more, I put in quotes, aggressive DDU. Like, let's get something out really timely here. And I was like, I could watch all 9 episodes in a burst, but how could we get this done quicker? And Cog was like, I got it, Matt. I got it. I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. So we're over on Last Stand Media, patreon.com/laststandmedia. You can get early ad-free access to our shows. Those go live on Thursdays. Otherwise, free feeds Sunday. And then sometimes we put out the occasional DDU on free feeds. Let's go into a bunch of things before we begin. There's a lot of interesting news this week. The calm before the storm, some leaks occurring. And so let's begin with something Jeff Keighley had to say that I think will be helpful context moving forward into the summer. He said during a Twitter space to expect fewer third-party showcases this summer, as a lot of companies such as 2K, Capcom, Square Enix have learned to host a show if there's more than 30 minutes of content. Many of these publishers have now chosen to roll into Summer Games Fest or other first-party showcases instead. So that's unfortunate for content creation, but it's really good for the quality of these products, because we learned like 2K held a financial earnings meeting practically and talked to their fans like they were investors rather than people being excited about games. So I think this is good. If you got 1 or 2 games, that's perfectly fine with me. How are you feeling about how this summer is shaping up for the showcases? We know THQ's in August. We, of course, have Xbox and Jeff Keighley's show right in June, but otherwise pretty big gap.
Total agreement with you. I think that I'll just miss consolidation.
Not the C word.
Be a messy out the gate. But I do. I like my things consolidated. I don't like going all over the place for a whole bunch of different things. And, the format, as much as I respect what Jeff is doing, I love that he's trying to have that E3 replacement, all good. But like, I like it when it's kind of like one place, one stop shop. You kind of get most of the news as opposed to check out this individual show here and there. And I do feel the quality comes down a little bit when you have so many, Radio Shacks doing their showcase. Like
Radio Shack, I forgot about them. Are they in business?
They're out,
right?
They're out. But it's like it became so redundant, and then I feel you lose the spirit. So I like this. I'm a fan.
Man, Radio Shack was sorry, I know you're talking about something different, but you bring that up, just whiplash right there. That was the home to the Mad Catz controllers for me. That's where I'd go to get the backups.
Remember the Mad Catz? Yeah, son. That was official. Always wow. Radio Shack. Yeah, man. We got to take it back today.
Wow. I'm still recovering.
Remember Radio Shack, bro? It's so crazy how things don't exist anymore.
Yeah, I agree, though. I'm happy to see lesser showcases. I think we learned our lesson in 2020. I was really big on the idea of more individualized showcases because I assumed if everyone was going to host their own, they would have content for it. That did not seem to be the case. I remember Capcom's was really bad, too. Theirs was just devoid of any content. It's weird because they own so many IP. But we'll be talking about Capcom a lot in this show later on. Very excited to talk about what they've been sharing as of late. So that's what's going on with Jeff Keighley. Next is Temtem. Temtem 1.0 arrives September 6th, 2022. This will be on Xbox. This is significant because this was on PlayStation and PC during its early access phase exclusively. And it is a Pokemon competitor that gained a lot of traction. It's apparently very good. It's got some MMO qualities. It's one that I've been waiting out for the trophies or achievements because you can't get them in early access. So I was really pleased to see this. I am excited about it. To me, this is a Game Pass get, Cog. This is one we got to get day one. Absolutely. Do you know or do you have any insight on Temtem? Did you track this game at all?
I did not, but shout out to lordsofgaming.net. One of my writers, shout out to Lord Flame, who just got promoted, assistant editor. Salute to him. He's been absolutely killing it. And he brought it to my attention. He had put out an article about Temtem. I didn't realize the importance, and like you said, like the Pokemon style competitor. Yes. And let's be honest, Xbox doesn't have games like that. And I'm all about filling the gaps, making sure that portfolio is, even if I'm not into the game, I want people who want to subscribe to that ecosystem to be a part of it. So I like moves like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The game's awesome though. It's kind of got this digital card system where you like throw out these Pokemon creatures. I don't know exactly what they're called. Temtemians, maybe. Who knows? Temtemians. But it apparently takes a lot of the criticisms that have been lopped on Pokemon and adjusts a lot of it. It's a great time to be a creature catcher type of video game because Pokemon's doing better than ever, so it's lifting all these games up. But because it's doing better than ever, people are getting tired of the same old from them. So something like Temtem, especially in its 1.0 release, where they're adding like Endgame Island and stuff, is going to be a breath of fresh air for a lot of people, I imagine. All right, let's move on to our next bit of news. Destroy All Humans clone Carnage was leaked by Xbox/True Achievements. So this appears to be a multiplayer, standalone piece of DLC. We're seeing more Destroy All Humans. This would be the third game from the Embracer Group since they got the IP there. They did the remake. They announced the remake of 2, and now they're doing this one. So for those who are worried about what they're going to do with the Square Enix IP, like we've said here on this show and on our personal outlets, expect them to do lots of remasters and get real creative with things here. I'm excited to see more Destroy All Humans. I really like the remake that they did. Are you pumped to see a little more of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, it was like yesterday. It was me, Solve, and Addict, E3 20. What was the last one we went to? Maybe 2019?
Yeah.
And they had a booth. It was outside the convention center. And we got the footage. And we was like, yo, they remade Destroy All Humans. We got to put Addict playing it. And it just looked like a romp. It looked hilarious. It was just not taking it so seriously. So fun. Like, yeah. So salute to them. They coming out. A lot of people really love it. A lot of people really love it. To me, it's so over the top. It's just, I like watching.
Have you heard some of the dialogue in that game?
Yo, they be wilding.
Yeah. Like one of the first lines in the game is like the alien looking at the cows. He's like, they're covered in nipples. It's just like, it's so good.
It's over the top. You gotta love it. It doesn't take itself seriously, and they having fun with it. And it's like the alien running around. I was enjoying it. It was fun.
Yeah. That came from Pandemic Studios, and that's why it's not surprising it's so good. They were just on another level during that era. Anything they touched was coming out incredible.
Gold.
This one is going to be, I think, a pretty big part of the Xbox Bethesda showcase on my bingo sheet. Modern Warfare 2 arrives October 28th, 2022. Cog, how are we feeling about that?
Feeling good. I'm feeling good. That's crazy because normally any COD release, Maddie, I'm being rich. I'm like, yeah, roll my eyes, whatever. But Modern Warfare 2,
there's some heritage.
Special place in Cog's heart. That was the game where I officially cheated on Halo. That was the game where I was like, yo, Halo, it's not you, it's me. Like, you got to have that breakup. Like, look, this was like, I forgot when it dropped, but I think it was the 60 frames, those classic maps, that map in the airport.
And Terminal, yes.
Oh, bro, like, I played, that was when COG was about COD. Like, I was prestiging, doing all, like, oh, man. I guess it was the 60 frames of graphical fidelity on home consoles at the time. And I didn't know, it was funny, now I'm older, I know what it is. It was the frames. Because I'm like, why does it move so good? And then the replay, man, classic, brother, classic. Yeah, that I will be getting down on that. That's nostalgia.
This is like the one I'm keeping an open mind to for sure. I haven't been into COD these last couple of years. I really liked Black Ops Cold War. That was the last one. Specifically the campaign, I should mention. The campaign for that is fantastic. Once that's in Game Pass, provided the acquisition goes through, you'll be hearing from me a lot about that campaign. You got 6 hours, go give it a rep. It's so good. Raven Software, they are the team that when Xbox gets them, they need to let loose and do whatever they want. Anything they want, let them do it. Off topic though. Yeah, Modern Warfare 2, man. There's a lot of hype to live up to, man. That was the peak of like, dude, people say you would not survive in the MW2 lobbies. Like it was the peak of Xbox Live culture, if you will. Like this was the battleground, right?
Listen, man. I'm on, full disclosure, I'm on Integrity team for VR. I couldn't imagine being on Integrity for Xbox at that time. Mm-hmm. like, bro, could you imagine the toxicity, bro? Remember those lives? I distinctly remember it was Search and Destroy.
Oh no.
And that was a feature they never really brought back, where you couldn't be in the party. Mm-hmm. Like it would disable party chat, you forced, and then that last kill go down, and then everybody get back in. I'm like, yo, it's talking
chaos.
Crazy. I'm sorry, interrupted you. But
no, not at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Search and Destroy has always been my mode, so I feel that pain through and through. And I remember playing this game competitively, and it's a fun one. That's where I developed my love for it. I hated public matches in this game. Everyone loves MW2, but I know for a fact no one remembers for a goddamn second how broken this game was. Everything from the gun balancing to the one-man army noob tubes. Everything, the sniper rifles, everything about this game was busted. And the map design, in my opinion, wasn't that great either. Like just everything about this game was really bad. But because it was during a time of everyone falling in love with it, I really think like the culture, the shit talking, the competitive nature,
yes,
everyone was in on it. It was a wave, man. It was a wave unlike anything else. I still love the game, but I really don't think it's that thing that I think is a flawed product that we all love, but I think a lot of people just forget the one-man army noob tubes was like an epidemic unlike anything else we've ever seen in first-person shooting gameplay. Like everyone was just firing off. You couldn't hide anywhere because speaking of brokenness, the explosion radius in that game was insane, bro. We called them Zeus nades. It was crazy. So yeah, I never liked public matches. I loved my Search and Destroy game battles matches, though. That's where I really developed a lot of love for this game. Shout out to my TAR-21 FMJ ACR. ACR is like one of my favorite guns in COD, man. The ACR red dot. Oh, good Lord. So very excited to learn more about this. I really feel like this is one of those, we'll talk about this more extensively throughout the show, but I do feel like Modern Warfare 2 is a look out for that game at the Xbox Bethesda showcase as maybe a third-party fill-in of some kind. We will see what they do.
Yeah.
One game you won't see at the showcase is Death Stranding 2. Norman Reedus has accidentally leaked it, saying in a Leo Edit magazine interview, quote, "We just started work on the second one," end quote. So now we know Hideo is likely playing both sides of the fence. I imagine Death Stranding 2 could end up being in a PlayStation exclusive, but we know he signed a agreement to work with Xbox on a cloud style game. So how are you feeling about Death Stranding? More of that. I didn't know this would be a game that demands a sequel. I was a little surprised to see this.
Yeah, on one level I was, I didn't know how like the numbers panned out and if Sony wanted to continue the relationship with him in that regard. But, in the same vein, it's just like, he's a mercenary, man. Like, he's going to go with, shout out to him. He's got to that position in life where he could do what he wants. He's going to get multiple bags. I am curious, what direction it goes. Obviously, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. So, I want to see where he goes with that. But yeah, I think, I'm surprised it exists. Mm-hmm. I just want to know how he operates moving forward with all of his games. Is he doing exclusive deals per platform? Will there ever be multi-platform deals with him? It's just, I got a lot of questions with him because Kojima Productions, he's beating to his own drums. Well, salute to him as a entrepreneur, 100%. Businessman and all that. I just want to see how it works for gamers if you're a fan on the opposite platform. And if not, you just got to get Death Stranding over on PlayStation and whatever the Xbox game, if it does letter of intent Xbox game. That's what I'm calling it. The letter of intent.
The letter of intent. I like that. But yeah, that's what's going on with Death Stranding. I don't really have any thoughts. I had never played the first game, but from what I heard, my editor, Josh, he is a huge fan of everything Kojima, and he was very like, I don't know about a sequel for this. And I would take his opinion over most on this type of stuff because he just replays these games. Like it's like me with Bethesda Game Studios for those who are looking for a comparison. So that's why I was a little surprised to hear there would be more of that, especially given its performance on the sales charts, which wasn't bad. Just I didn't know it needed a sequel. All right, next is a new game coming out September 1st, 2022, Lord of the Rings Gollum. Any excitement for this one? I hate Gollum, so no.
Yeah.
None for me.
He kind of funny, though.
Nope.
It's the precious. Come on. You don't want the precious. You don't want the precious.
Nope. That man makes me uncomfortable.
Yo, and he's hilarious. Yo, I just think he's the...
Spiegel says.
Maddie says, get the fuck off the screen. That's what I say.
And there you have it. Maddie won't be confident. I'm just curious of where the hell they go with it. That's all. The character just makes me laugh.
Yeah. So you're going to be there day one?
I ain't saying all that. I was just saying, let me see what's going on first. Let me see.
You're going to peek through the door, see what's going on. What's the commotion?
Right. Exactly.
All right. Here's one that we probably both will be messing around with at least. The Witcher 3 next-gen version is dropping Q4 2022. So it was originally slated to come out Q2. They delayed it. I had reported that's because of the team at Saber Interactive was impacted by the war in Ukraine. So they had to shift things over in-house to CD Projekt Red. It wasn't because there was any type of commotion or chaos with the development of the product. They just couldn't get it done in a timely manner and missed some deadlines. So this is going to be coming out in the holiday period. It's going to be a busy time already, and they're going to be dropping it right in the heat of it. So are you going to be maybe making some time to check this one out?
Well, according to the first-party output, depending on the first-party output and output of certain publishers, maybe I have time on my... No, I need to. I've been putting that off for so long. I get started.
You never played it?
No, I played it.
Okay.
I played it. I just start, stop. Then it was like, 60 frames is coming. All right, start over. And then I'm the type of person, how you get far in a game, and when the game is good, I just can't, especially if you like, it's been like a month, 2 months, like you're out of that flow to just continue right where you exactly are. I just need that fresh start. Yeah, so my thing is, let me wait for the ultimate super deluxe with extra cheese edition, and now we do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I might be into that. Just see what's going on in that quarter.
I'll definitely be checking it out because it'll kind of be their first big thing since the launch of Cyberpunk 2077. And I'm sure by that time we'll have a better gauge on what they're going to be doing for expansions because they said that won't be coming till 2023. So I'm just excited to see CD Projekt Red get back up on their horse. Pardon the pun. I know Roach, but get it back up on their horse and continue being a good game developer like we all know they are. So best of luck to them with the release of that. This one's pretty significant. Replaced has been delayed until 2023 due to the war in Ukraine impacting the team. The team has since relocated and work is beginning on the game again. So, yeah, this is one that you kind of just toss your hands and go like, man, that sucks because the second casualty of that war for Xbox. They've lost Stalker 2 and now Replaced has been delayed as well. I imagine both these games will eventually come out, but it's just one of those things where you're like, man, that, can't sit here and bitch and moan, I feel, but it's like, that just is really unfortunate.
I know, you're right. The hits keep coming. That was one for me, that in the corner, in the indie joint. Yeah, it's always something, but yeah, I did have my eye on this one.
Yeah. Oh, okay. This one's fun. This one we'll get to sit down and talk about a lot because Xbox Game Pass had the ultimate ratio of all time. We do have some write-ins on that, so we'll talk about that in a little bit, like the notion of Game Pass's response. But what I wanted to talk about separately here was In Exile's response, because they were fighting a war. They were really taking it to a lot of fanboys and letting them hear it. At one point, someone said, it must be rough knowing you will be making Game Pass fodder for the foreseeable future. And they said full creative freedom, financial support, and millions of gamers playing and loving our games. It's a dream. Highly recommended. Brian Fargo said Microsoft has been the perfect partner for us. And I've worked with a lot of people in my career. Nothing but encouragement, operational support, creative freedom, and respect for game development. So yes, I'm most impressed with them, and you will see their bets pay off. I was like, oh, I love, dude.
Sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, out of anyone, I'm excited to see get the Microsoft money. Right? Of course, Bethesda Game Studios. Of course, I'm saying, but Brian Fargo, man, this guy is a legend, and I am so excited to see him and his new IP and like how he's going to take this industry to new heights again. So I was really impressed hearing him say, like, you want to know a vet? Like, this is not a guy who's going to sugarcoat it. Like when I remember when 76 came out, like he was pretty brutally honest about it, despite, these are colleagues, right? This is a series he helped give birth to. And he was just like, 76 ain't it. So I really take what Brian Fargo says very seriously. He's the studio head of In Exile Entertainment. And Keighley, I know you were paying attention to this. How were you feeling about what happened with In Exile, Brian Fargo, and some of their comments?
Yeah, I think it's part of this kind of overarching theme that we'll get into later as far as like social media response and what's happening and stuff like that. And he outside. He's not playing. He's not playing no games. He's telling people what it is. And basically, like we said, we know the track record. We know the history. This ain't a person that's been sugarcoating and play games. Like you said, with 76 was not it and the other things were not popping. He'll call it how it is. For him to come out and say, and I don't want to do it like I told you so, but it's just kind of a reaffirmation for me for all the people that I speak to on these studios behind the scenes. Because I don't got time to lie to people. I don't want people lying to me. Right. Yeah. So I just be like, yo, can you do what you really want to do? Is it real like that over there? And he's just confirming what I've heard. You know what I mean? So salute to him. People sleeping on NXL. Like I've told people that Compulsion, NXL, there's a couple that Xbox Game Studios get. And I know we're going to get into the narrative about, they got to produce the games and all that. I get it. Sure. All I'm saying is the talent amassed, and this is why people are still excited for this ecosystem. The talent amassed with now the creative control and a budget has people excited. So people don't want to necessarily jump off board before things start to bubble, right? And that's just what it is. So we'll get into it. But salute to Fargo. I was surprised by this. I didn't see this coming, but he was outside. He wasn't having it.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see the game involved. Like I was not too surprised about the Game Pass Twitter account because they're always a little spicy, but see In Exile and then Brian Fargo, I was very impressed by their efforts. We'll talk about that extensively in a little bit when we get to some of our warm-up questions. For now, Switch Mitch Skates writes in with our little last bit of news here. Yo, Dukes, did you catch Limited Run's announcement that they're making a physical for TMNT Shredder's Revenge? Wait for it. On Xbox. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first official Xbox game they've made. They're trying to cater to you, Maddie. Have a Lord of the Rings Gollum got a release date kind of day. Thank you, Mitch. Yeah. So we've been really beating the drum that Xbox needs to get involved in Limited Run. So it could not be a better fit for yours truly than Shredder's Revenge being our first physical drop on Limited Run. I love to see it. Very happy about that.
I really got, but like when I saw it, I'm like, this is literally tailor made. Like the Duke spoke it into existence and it happened. And I'm so happy for you. I know how much this means to you. And salute to Xbox for getting behind it, right? For they didn't have to.
It took them long enough, bro. Holy shit.
It took long enough, but we got there, So hopefully this sets off a trend, right? And we continue to see a lot of this on the bigger releases as well.
Yeah, I didn't see them get behind Unsighted. I was very disappointed on that. Unsighted is one of the best games that came out last year. It's available on Game Pass if you have yet to check it out. They're doing a limited run for that as well for Switch and PS4. I was very disappointed to see Xbox wasn't in on that. The other surprise was kind of that we were all thinking like, is it going to be Tunic? Is it going to be Death's Door? What is it going to be? The Ascent? And it ends up being Shredder's Revenge, a third-party game. So happy to see them get involved, but very curious to see how frequently they support now. That'll be the test, in my opinion, but a great start if you're me. All right, more write-ins. Sean Mason writes in just affirming what is one of the best JRPGs of all time. Greetings, Dukes. I finished The Lost Odyssey, and it's a huge fan of the JRPG genre. I can honestly say this is one of the premier games of that genre. With the immaculate story, amazing soundtrack, and outstanding combat system, this is a game that all JRPG fans should play at some point. Seeing Kaim Argonar's progression as a character was extremely rewarding and kept me coming back. He drove the story forward and left me on the edge of my seat each and every time I encountered one of the main story beats. The writing is incredible, and I found myself tearing up while reading some of the 1,000-Year Journal. Thanks for the recommendation, Maddie. I owe you. Best, Sean M. P.S. I took the bet.
Oh.
So, yeah, he just tucked that one in there. Yeah,
he tucked that in the cut.
He thinks that Starfield's hitting 4-1. 4-1-23.
Wow.
Now, if I had a lighter and some money, that's what's happening here.
Bro,
it's gone.
easy. I love you, bro. Shaw is a good dude. I really like Shaw, man. Salute to him. Salute. What I like about this with the whole Lost Odyssey thing, it kind of reaffirms, I want that commitment to that JRPG. Like when you see him getting into one of the older ones, and I want them to stay committed. I want them to make sure things don't miss the platform. And that was a time in 360 where they had their own baby. You know what I'm saying? So I like that.
Yeah. This is just me trying to tell everyone, kind of like I tell Cog about Danganronpa. If you haven't played Lost Odyssey, you like JRPGs, this is Xbox's Final Fantasy. There's no stretch there. If you like Final Fantasy, or if you haven't been able to get into Final Fantasy, either or, check this out. Trust me. It's one of, next to Final Fantasy 13, this is the best looking back-and-pack game, easily. It's very impressive. Nice. So get that disc going. All right. Cog, I want your thoughts on this one. James Hill writes, "Hey, Duke dudes. I can't be the only one that thinks Cog's laugh sounds exactly like Mr. Krabs. I just stubbed my toe on the VCR and the sweet release of death can't come soon enough kind of day." Do you agree with this? Have you heard this before? I couldn't hear it. I was thinking of your laugh. I was like, nah, I don't feel this one.
I never heard it before. People like my laugh, though. People say, like, I have a very diabolical laugh.
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
somebody said, like, Ty Guy Travis always, he's like, I think when I upgraded my mic, he's like, damn, sometimes it mutes that laugh. But I'm like, what you talking about? He's like, yo, I love your laugh. So yeah, I do have a very distinct laugh, but most of the time I get like the diabolical, you know what I'm saying? Like when I have a good one, yeah, it's like he sound like the final boss or something.
It does sound like it. Oh shit, yes. That's so good.
Yes.
All right, this one was just so interesting I had to throw in the show. James Miller writes, "Salute Dukes, longtime listener, first time writing in." And this is one way to use your first time write-in. Now, I know a lot of people complain about the ads within the show's Last Stand produces. However, your ads have indirectly led to me picking up some French. I'm from the UK, and the location-based Spotify inserts are always in French. For the past 6 months of listening, I've had the same 3 one-minute ads played to me. It's gotten to the point where this man and woman are what I look forward to when listening. I would just translate the whole ad suite to English, but I'm having fun just picking out select words every week and translating them to English. One day I shall understand what they are trying to sell me. Thank you, gentlemen, for the content and helping an Englishman become more acquainted with another language.
Listen, man.
How about that?
Well, that's a first. Mm-hmm. Salute to that. Maddie putting in work, man. So whoever, I want to know how the counterpart sound, right? I want to hear how the inflection is. But now that's dope. You learning.
Who needs Duolingo, right? You got our ads. They're there for
ads, baby. It's good. We doing the Duke's
Keep us paid. Come on.
Keep the lights on.
All right. Let's roll to something more positive here. Carter Evanson writes in, not really a question, but thanking y'all for entertaining me for hours every week. I've never been a podcast guy, and both of you changed that and even got me into some other secret stuff, which we love to hear. Also, Maddie, I know you like to crown Cog as the star of the show, but give yourself the credit you deserve. Mm-hmm. You're one of the You're one of the 2 gaming personalities I've stuck with for nearly a decade and are a perfect example of combining talent, work ethic, personality, and reliability in the gaming community. As for Cog, I was a fan ever since I heard you guest on the show. When Maddie announced he had gotten a new co-host, I was in his replies hoping it was you. Just wanted to give you guys your flowers and remind you of the difference you make in people's lives. Very kind of you, Carter. Thank you. Big love.
Thank you. Much appreciated, Carter. Love for sure.
Absolutely. I will sign your copy of Starfield just for that.
And his Crocs.
Yeah.
Hope you don't have those.
Yeah, that's a better concession. All right. Another one that was so twisted we had to put in the show. Nick DeHave writes in, "Hello, young Ryan McCaffrey and Idris Elba with a cold. Not really a request, but not really a question, but more of a request. Could you two calm it with the grunting and moaning when talking to each other? I understand the excitement for whatever the topic is, but I'm a mailman, and I listen to your podcast while working, and I can only get so turned on and erect as a public worker walking around neighborhoods handing out mostly junk mail that will end up in the trash along with my occasional once-a-month Game Informer. Thanks, and have a does my mailman have a boner kind of day." How do you feel about that? I was thinking, Kai, I was like, yo, there's a lot. When you're talking, we both have different grunts. Mine's, like, yes. You say something, I'm enlightened. Yours is like an assertive, like, Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Nick, behave. I don't want to see that mailman pull up with my mail.
And he's
you
pitching a
poking and you doing, Nick, behave. You know what I'm saying? It's just gays. Calm down. We're flattered, but calm down. He loses. I was like, could you imagine a mailman delivering like that, bro? Calm down.
He wouldn't have to use his hands to carry the package.
Yeah, but clearly he carried the package. All right, we lose today. We lose.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick.
All right, thank you, Nick, for writing in. Let's talk about what games we're playing here. Cog, you're up first, my friend.
You know the routine. I'm back. I've been away for a few weeks. I was productive finishing games, but here come Destiny again.
Yep,
Season of the Hunt is back. Love it. So far, they're kind of going with, they're bringing back one of my, Maddie's going to laugh. They're bringing back one of my favorite locales that they content vaulted called the Leviathan. Nice. And they repurposed it. And it's so they should get clowned for some repurpose. I'm not going to say. Of course. But I will say what they have done is absolutely amazing. Story beats are dope. It's fun. I'm all in the mix. I'm loving what they're doing right now. And the overarching narrative team is just hitting on all cylinders right now. There's so much going on in the universe. And Callus is one of my favorite characters. He's this cabal leader. He's kind of like very, very, everything's very opulent. Every, gold, everything laced in his palace. One of the best raids going. So I've been doing that, having fun. And then Demio, I've been back on it, man. They've got content coming. I'm getting ready. It's called Curse of the Serpent Lord. Yeah, okay. Curse of the Serpent Lord. So that's coming out. And a new adventure and a new character. Almost looks like this chick, like this, is going to be like a summoner class. So it looks like each adventure, they may be debuting a new class. So last class was Roots of Evil, which they debuted the Bard. He's very support structured. He sings these songs. He kind of builds up the morale of the team. He's not like an attack character. He's not a tank, but he's true support. But he does have one of the best spells I've ever seen. This like musical spell. It's like a tornado. It tears things up. And that's crazy. Yeah, it's one of the most graphically impressive looking spells I've ever seen in a game. Like it's really impressive. So I want to know what they do with the summoning character and African American chick, down with the home team. So I like the representation. DBO, I'm Resolution Games. Salute to y'all. But yeah, and I'm gonna push it because again they had their PC debut. Xbox. Please talk to Resolution Games. They got a banger. I'm telling y'all right now, y'all better get in on this. Call up.
Don't let it be another Among Us or something like that,
bro. That's what I'm trying. If they about to do this, don't let a Fall Guys situation happen. Don't let an Among Us situation happen, and you not in the party. Because if PlayStation snatch that bag up, this is gonna go. If they already got the PC version and it's full compatibility, I'm telling y'all right now, Demio is about. And they're coming out with a PvP mode. In about another 2 weeks, more like they have a roadmap, bro. Like Demio is outside. I'm telling y'all right now, get with it. So those are two things I've been playing. My regulars. What about you?
Nice. I've been sticking with the two JRPGs I talked about last week. Final Fantasy 13. I'm about 15 hours in right now. I'm past the halfway point, and this game's great. I really understand people's complaints. The corridors, the hallways. There's a lot of them, but this is now looking at it, I'm like, this is such a beautiful game. Looking at it back compat, it is really hard to believe this is a 2009 game. It's insane. Like between, again, this and Lost Odyssey, these are the top back compat games for sure, graphically. I'm not a graphics guy. A lot of people know that. I'm more of an art style person, but I just can't stop admiring the world they've built in Final Fantasy 13. I always had a soft spot for this game. Couldn't tell you why. I think it gets a lot more slander than it deserves, as I talked about last week. If you accept it for what it is, which is a much more linear Final Fantasy game, and just play it as that, it's pretty much Final Fantasy X in terms of its pacing, as far as I'm concerned. But if you just track it that way and you look into the thesaurus of all the different, the dictionary of all the different lore terms they use, the fal'Cie, the Lissi, if you just do those two things, I'm telling you, this is a good game. It's really good. But you do have to make some concessions. So I've been playing that. I am almost done with Trails in the Sky, the third. Okay. We are 27 hours into that now, and loving it. This is definitely my favorite Trails game right now. I have played Sky 1, 2. I've played Cold Steel 1, 2. This is definitely my favorite. Oh my God, bro. After playing Persona 5 Royal, I was so convinced that there's no chance on this planet I hear a soundtrack that can start to reach that level.
Oh.
But this game has some music. It's making what I call the Mr. Matty cut. The Mr. Matty cut is, can I use you in a video?
Oh,
and when I start throwing you in the background of my tracks, I don't care if it fits. That's my thing. That's always been my jam. Like, I'll throw JRPG music in the middle of like a Bethesda conversation. I don't care if I'm feeling you. For me, editing's a vibe. Videos are a vibe. Like, I want to create an atmosphere. I want it to be chill. Some of the soundtracks, man, are so good.
Nice.
But the story's been great. The characters, as always, in Trails are amazing. And what's great about this game is, unlike the rest of Trails, which is a lot of writing, this game still has good writing, but it's really letting the gameplay flex its muscles. And I'm like, finally, dude, y'all get it. Yes. So been enjoying that. Would love to see Trails come to Xbox, even though it's a tough recommendation because it's, like, I couldn't suggest this one to you, Cog. Like, it's such a slow-paced adventure.
Oh, okay.
You got to go through like 8 JRPGs, like.
Oh, wow.
It's
just to be in the mix,
yeah. It's an Avengers type of thing. It's crazy.
Got it.
The last game, though, new stuff. So I promised everyone last week I would play a current game. So I played Trek to Yomi over this past weekend to completion.
Oh,
Lord Cognito, let's have a chat.
Let's talk about it.
You called this a 9 out of 10 story.
I call it like an 8 out of 10 story.
What'd you miss? What did I miss? I mean,
let's beef. Tell me what you did like first, and I'll cover it.
I didn't dislike anything. I was just like, okay, so mythical samurai story. I was thinking of you as I finished it. That's why I took it to you right away. Like, I that moment in the podcast flashed in my head. I was like, what did he see? Because not that it's bad. I'm just saying, like, I want to get your take now that I've beat it and I have my own interpretation. I just wanted to quickly discuss what made it that good to you.
Okay, for me, what made it good is, we spoil the cast, so let's just do it, right? He's a very selfish character, and to me, again, I just thought, obviously, it's the typical revenge kind of thing on some level.
Yes,
but I liked when I got to Yomi, and the game flipped, and it was like, oh no! To me, Yomi represents hell. Mm-hmm. So when I'm in hell, and it's like, oh, all these are all the dudes I bodied. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So then we go further, and then you get to we spoiling. So sorry, y'all.
You don't have to spoil the whole thing, but
because you asking why, it's deeper than a simple answer. So like, all right, I'll try to paraphrase as best I can. I guess when I got the choice part,
gotcha. Okay.
That's when it opened me up, because I'm curious now on the replays if I chose other motivations. What happened? Because the motivation I chose, I liked. I liked when
I did duty.
See, I didn't do that, so I don't know what yours is.
Okay.
I did love. So I didn't see. Yeah, so love was for me, it was what it was. So clearly, y'all, this game got multiple endings. So maybe the duty was whack. I don't know. Maybe just it appealed to you for whatever reason. That path really connected with me. So, but I've heard people say what you said, though. I know I'm not that I'm alone. I know people, either they really love it or people are like, it's all right. You know what I'm saying?
This is one of those games for me where when I beat it, I was like, this is a rare moment where I feel like, oh, I'm glad that was on Game Pass, because if I spent money on this, I kind of would have been annoyed. Really less the story. It was the gameplay did not feel good. It was for a samurai game. It just did not. It was very clunky. You'd be swinging and whiffing a lot. There wasn't a fluidity to the combat. It was very rigid to me. And what happened is, once you started to unlock moves as you got through the game, that was good. But then you got like the God mode move, which was for armored enemies, where you'd swing up, down, and then like jab them with the handle, and it would set them up for executions. And I was like, oh, I like this, because, like I'll execute, I'll get my health back. Oh, yeah. Cool little system.
Powerful. Yeah.
But then I'm executing everyone. I'm just using the same combo on everyone. It's like this auto combo.
Gotcha.
And I was thinking to myself, okay, I am choosing to play like this, but I'm doing this because any other way is vastly inferior. So I was really having trouble with the combat, because I could play in different ways, and I was trying to mess around with combos, but eventually I was like, outside of the boss fights, by the way, I found myself just really rinsing and repeating. And then the boss fights themselves, the hitboxes were vastly inconsistent for me. Sometimes I'd roll I was actually like, going through my footage and I would like roll out of the way of the attack and it would like land here and then a foot away would be me. I'd still get hit. And that's the type of stuff where you're like, the game failed me there. And I have a low tolerance for that, for sure. I don't expect perfection. Again, this is an indie developer selling me a $20 game. But what I loved, Cog, was the tone and the atmosphere. This is a game that I'm not going to sign off and say, like, don't ever play it. But
you ain't feel the atmosphere.
Oh, dude.
Bro.
Oh, dude.
The atmosphere is a character.
Yes,
bro.
yes. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Really love the camera angles. To call it a 2D game would almost be doing it a disservice because the way it's always switching the cameras as they're crawling through the environment, some of the angles you're fighting on, it's like a blessing and a curse because it's amazing to look at, but it almost solidifies how I feel about the janky combat because you'll be like a mile deep in the cinematic angle. And I'm like, if it was a little smoother, if I could just get in, I wouldn't care because I could just appreciate the view and this would feel better. But it's not a bad game by any means. It's just one that if I spent $20 on, I don't know. Because again, I think of, this isn't like a gold standard indie for me, but I think of the recent one I played like Unsighted. I was like, that was a really great game I discovered through Game Pass at the same price tag. And I felt it was much smoother, much more enjoyable, much more insightful. And I feel like Trek to Yomi was very presentation heavy, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not something that really fully gelled with me. And I'm a weeb, man. Like I feel like this game speaks to me, right? And I love Ghost of Tsushima. So again, I thought like more of that, kind of Xbox's answer to that.
Calm down.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I know. We're not going to compare those. I'm just saying.
King tried to do that. I was like, no.
We're not. I'm just saying that type of vibe. Like Ghost of Tsushima has a vibe.
Yes,
that I'm about. And I was, I think those are on the same level for sure. But yeah, Trek to Yomi, I played it, beat it. It's a great game. I will say this for those who are looking for a short weekend game. We'll talk about again the extensive Game Pass library and how everyone feels about the AAA versus the indies. This is the type of game that you suggest to someone, I think, who's looking for a high quality or a high quality production experience that's not going to take them tens of hours. It's, I think it took me 6 to 7 hours, 3 sittings, beat it, and was satisfied. I didn't love it, but I walked away like, okay, cool. That was nice. Fair enough. What were you going to say about the game, though? I did cut you off a couple of times there.
No, that's fine. I wanted to make sure you finished. No, I want to be clear that I did agree with you that the combat, I did say the combat is going to be clunky for a lot of people, especially the turning and the parrying. I felt the parrying, even though I mastered it, I've played games, like I love games sometimes that have a parry, right? I come from fighting games, I love parrying. So for me, my issue was that the parry timing was off. Like sometimes I felt like I was doing it premature and still getting parries that I probably shouldn't have. Now, once I mastered, like say if you're not unable to master their little janky parry, I give you that parry system, then I could see this thing being a complete clunky mess because it's so dependent on it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I felt. And and on top of that, I'm with you with the camera. Like you nailed it with even though the game is a characters and atmosphere, it's great. But there are times where you're like, cinematically, this looks great. But I'm like, damn, I can't see exactly because they on me and the angle messes you up from that combat. So I'll give you that. And like I said, I've heard this feedback. Some people like me really love it and we're able to get through that part. And some people are like, nah, I can't get through that. And it's just okay, for them. And I get that. I respect that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you just reminded me, one thing I did struggle with sometimes was when it was on the 2D angle, enemies couldn't decide who wanted to go first in combat. The game was smart enough to say one person attacks you at a time. If there were multiple, you'd be in deep shit. This combat would completely break. But sometimes they'd be like coming in from the foreground and the background, and they just keep shifting back and forth, and no one would attack me. I'm like, can one of you fight me? Come on now. I'll just be waiting for it.
I've seen this. This is like that.
That's one thing that definitely got under my skin at times. But not a bad game. Don't want to oversell it being like a poor game of any kind. But one that I was happy I didn't pay for, quite frankly.
You go hard.
Feeling really.
Shout out to Check the Yomi. I loved it.
Now they got to try for themselves. That's what this is all about, right?
Yes.
It's on Game Pass. You got one who loves it, one who's like, it's all right. And there you go. Go check it out for yourself. It's a quick download too. I think people will like it more than I did. All right. First question for our warm-ups, and then we'll get into the news. Nick Tomlinson writes in, greetings and salutations, my good dukes. First time writing in. as I've been a longtime freeloader of just listening on free feeds, but decided to join the Patreon because I have greatly enjoyed all things LSM, and all 3 podcasts are the highlights of my week. So thank you for the phenomenal content. Thank you, Nick. Welcome aboard. My question for you boys is, with the recent news of Siphon Filter getting trophy support on the new PlayStation Plus, would you want to see Xbox bring achievements to original Xbox titles? As someone who's been in the achievement hunting community for quite a while, I know that this is something we have all been asking for quite some time. I would like to see it. Do you have any hope that Xbox would ever entertain this idea? I feel that the achievement ecosystem has been on a steady decline since the midpoint of the Xbox One generation, and they do not seem to really care about achievements at all anymore, which is ironic because they were the ones who first implemented the concept. P.S. You listening?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Maddie, for putting me on Danganronpa. This shit fucking bangs and is undoubtedly peak video game writing. Thanks, boys, and have a I drove the green on a par 4, but ended up putting a 3 kind of day.
Shout out to the Danganronpa gang. They are outside. You've got a cult following to this now.
I'm telling you, bro. It's not a cult following. It's just popular. That's all there is to it. It's not a cult.
Yo, all 10 of y'all are lit. No, I'm joking. But now they coming. People are hitting me up all the time and mentioning you. So it's definitely rising in popularity more than I would like to admit.
You'll finish it one day. All right. So you and I have been loud about this achievement system for weeks. I think it's started to come to a head for the rest of the community with the implementation of trophies in the classic PlayStation games via PS Plus. First, I want your read on the situation. This is one thing that on Defining Duke Ultimate, we talked about, this would be cool. Now we know it's for sure a thing for some games. Like there's a platinum for Siphon Filter, there's a platinum for Ape Escape, and many more games coming into the service. How do you feel about that? And do you think Xbox ever goes back and retroactively adds some achievements to, I don't know, like Fusion Frenzy or something along those lines?
Love it. Love that PlayStation's doing it. I think Xbox needs to mirror that. I just don't think they're going to do it. I just feel like the resources have moved on to other projects. And that's, again, we've had Jason Ronald on IOP. I don't know if anything has changed. I mean, I don't know now with, the Activision and back catalog and stuff there. Like, to me, these type of things demand teams and allocate resources for it, and they're going to prioritize. They're going to prioritize what the need is. And in their defense, this was a huge rallying cry during the Xbox One generation and something they really hung their hat on. But to me, based on what I'm seeing with the tea leaves of the Series X and Series S, the focus now, which I don't mind, what I do think they're going to go to is what you really want, which is the Series S and the digital console, and you having a disc from past generations being utterly useless. And I think that past lashback that they got with Xbox Live being down and not being able to access Game Pass, that now has moved even further to the forefront. So to be honest with you, even though I want the achievements for the old games, I do. I want the OG Xbox stuff to have it. It's just that if you're going to put a gun to my head, I think that, yes, Series S and the digital market front that you guys are doing needs to be addressed when you're offline. And for people who are Series S, because let's be honest, we talked about it with Japan and how the Series S, even though it was like 1 week in Japan, but that's a big deal, right? Yeah. I know stock, I know PlayStation stock, I get it, but that's a big deal. And if it catches fire, you got to make sure that these in place. So that's what I think. Just being brutally honest, I just don't think the resources and the priority is there from internal teams to focus on this. But shout out to PlayStation. That is a great move. I love that.
Yeah, I really respect what they did there. And it is a smart move. They understand that trophies matter. They do. A lot of people kind of try to downsize the importance of them. It's a metagame for a lot of people, though. It's for people like myself sometimes the make or break decision on, do I want Xbox or PlayStation version? I know it sounds funny, but there are many of us out there. For me, the Platinum Trophy is incredibly alluring. I love PlayStation's whole system and how they have it set up, or once you get them all, you get that one thing you could show people and be like, boom, I got this because I put the time into it.
Fire.
And then sometimes they'll give you the wallpapers. You'd use those on your PlayStation 4. To me, that was a great little system there. Xbox also has a good system, right? They have the achievements, which they did themselves. They have the rare achievements, which pop when you get those low percentage accomplishments. And then on top of that, they have the Microsoft Rewards program. And Microsoft Rewards is really underrated, not discussed enough. As you do digital purchases, You know, you get achievements, you'll get points, Game Pass quests, you'll get points, and you get real money for it. That's great. I would love for them to make that a more important part for the gamers moving forward. But really, this is one of those moments where I'm like, if you all can figure out a shot in the arm type of thing here for back compat, this would be it, because this was something that, with Xbox being the leaders of this back compat market, if you will, you thought, well, they had to have tried it, and it seems like it's just impossible to do. But now PlayStation's doing it. And let's be honest, like, we always looked at them and kind of stuck our nose up in the air. We're like, your PS3 streaming, PS Now. Look, they figured out something that Xbox hasn't. And if I'm Xbox, like, y'all have been the go-to market leaders for back compat for so long, and you've now been lapped on trophies and achievements. I feel like you got to take a good hard look at things eventually. To me, this is sort of the straw that breaks the camel's back. We've been calling for a while, figure something out with achievements, and now we're seeing them evolve their achievement trophy system over on PlayStation even more to spread them out to an older type of game. That's awesome. Xbox has stayed stagnant on that.
Look, you're absolutely right. If we're going to be brutally honest, right? You're absolutely right. I don't want to minimize that. That is true. I've been full agreement that even though Xbox is the pioneers in the achievement space, that they have been lapped. I have been asked internally by multiple teams and market data researchers and all that stuff about what I think. And I've always mentioned that. So the only thing I do want to give credit, and I want to be careful, is that with the PlayStation back compat, because you're an owner of the PlayStation Classic, and from my understanding, a lot of those games are like the PAL was at 50 hertz situation, and that to me is a problem. And I don't think a lot of people mention that, because you're not getting that fidelity and stability that you need from these titles. And to Xbox's credit, when they bring something back, it is done full stop with most of the bells and the whistles. So I do feel their solution is superior. But I do feel the way PlayStation does the fan service and the achievements, and I'm with you. Like, I'm not a platinum trophy hunter kind of guy.
Sure.
But I remember, like, the one that I did it was Ghost. I was like, I love this game. I love every aspect of this game. I must get that achievement. It means that much to me. You know what I'm saying? And a showcase to the world, like, yo, this game, this is my thing. So yeah, they need to step it up. They need to step it up. Like, you can't have your competitor lap you in the space you created. So I'm with you.
I hate to say it, but just, because I know it may seem a little extreme to people, but I think it's just a pride thing. It's like, by that, I mean, like, have the pride to have the thing you built be better than the people who are following suit. Don't let them take your idea, evolve it, develop it beyond what you've done here. And if you have attached new systems to achievements like they have with Microsoft Rewards, make that a big focal point. That's half the problem here, is I think Microsoft Rewards could be this proper evolution of the system of like, hey, play games, earn real money in this not weird way. And instead, they just kind of have backburnered it. And it's just sort of sitting there, and you'll accumulate points if you like do Bing searches. And I'm like, no, like, make it a part of the actual game. Like, make it really feel like something there instead of driving sales. So that's something that I feel like I would love to see from them, but I'm much like Cog and not expecting it. I do think, again, I know they've left a lot on the table here, and that they said they've tried it all, but if they can figure out something for the Activision deal, that's the one I'm more so looking at and saying, like, okay, if we're going to do another back compat dump, Activision has a lot of titles there. A lot. Like, you could get Spider-Man in there, you could get Prototype in there, you could get Singularity in there. There's so many older games that if you can figure it out, I know you can't act on the idea of like, well, we're going to own them, so let's dedicate a whole team to this. They've said it. They're operating independently as of now, but I hope they can figure something out on that front at least. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, good point. Final point. I know we're going along with this, but
that's all right.
I think the glimmer of hope is what you just said, which is the Activision deal. Because of that huge catalog, if they're able to finalize that, that would be the shot to now go back and then do another kind of group thing in conjunction with it while you're back there bringing their titles back, once the deal finalized. So I think there's some hope there. And I just think it's what you said. I just think it's priority. I don't think they don't care. I just think that all their resources, even though they're a big company, are towards other things. And it's a shame because they need to still not let this program die.
Right on. All right, number 2 goes to Benji Bop. Here we go. This is the spicy topic. Howdy, Dukes. While I appreciate the dunk on that sensationalized Kotaku article, I'm not a fan of the Game Pass Twitter account seemingly moving the goalposts here. Don't get me wrong. I love my indie games. Shout out Death's Door and XO1. But the service needs its big games too. It should be fair to criticize the service when they fail to deliver that, i.e. the Starfield delay. And what about the people who do prefer AAA games? Is Game Pass outright saying the service isn't for those people? Because they surely don't market Game Pass that way. Shock value and comedy aside, the tweet started to rub me the wrong way a bit. Maybe it's just that pre-E3 lull, but I'm curious if you guys had any thoughts on it from that perspective. Thanks, and you're playing... This is so good. I can't actually... You're playing goalie against Milan Lucic and just let the crease kind of day. For those who don't have any context to this, I think it was game 2 when the Oilers and Flames were playing in the playoffs, and Mike Smith goes behind the goal, and Lucic just wheels at him, and you're not supposed to touch the goalie. Like, that's a golden rule. You don't mess with the goalie, and he crushes this guy. And this man's 40. I couldn't believe it. As an Oilers fan, I was devastated, but they're up 3-1 in the series now. So anyway, context to that. Cog, this is kind of our major topic for the show. A lot of people have been announcing they're leaving Game Pass. Friend of the show, Gene Park, as someone in the LSM Discord put it perfectly, main character of Twitter. Everyone just sees what he does and reacts to it, yes, for better or for worse. And I don't know why. Shout out to Gene, though. He really sparked this conversation. And now there's apparent Game Pass burnout. Now we have this article from Kotaku. You have Xbox stepping in the mix, taking a dump on Kotaku. And I want to know how you're feeling about the whole situation. There's a lot of places to start here, so let's hear it.
Stay out of these Twitter streets, y'all.
It's dangerous, man.
It's dangerous, man. Stay out these streets. This is what happens. Like, you look, so many moving parts to this. All right, so the first part I'll get to is what kind of set this off, right? And what I saw, was that, like, a lot of people were announcing after the Starfield and Redfall announcement, yo, I'm not feeling, subscribing to Game Pass anymore. And they put out a public tweet saying, they are subscribing until, they see the value. Mm-hmm. To each their own. They could do that. Me personally, I'll be brutally honest here. I'm just not cut from this cloth where I have to publicly announce I'm doing something. That's just me. That's just kind of, it's like, yo, I'm breaking up with my girl. I want all y'all to know, like, that's just not me. I don't feel the need to do that. Like, I'm not about this. Just do it. I'm going to be honest. And this is no personal shot at anyone. This is just how COG rolls, right? So if you choose to use your platform that way, God bless, that's you. But for me, I just thought it was interesting. So I'm like, okay, multiple people doing this. Okay, fine. So now we get to where we at. So we see the Kotaku article. I guess it was something to the effect of burnout. People are burnt out with Game Pass, whatever. So I saw it. Okay, whatever. That's the opinion piece, whatever. Now I saw the Game Pass. That's what I retweeted. I put the eye emoji like, yo, what's this? Right? So they were like, yo, and just like, whatever they say,
they said,
tell
me you limit yourself to only AAA games without telling me you limit yourself to only AAA games.
All right. So I'm of two mindsets here. First, again, COG. I personally wouldn't do it. Right? COG, I'm not in the Twitter streets. I'm not doing that. But I will say this, you know what I'm saying? With social media accounts like Wendy's, and there's people are out here dunking, like Twitter accounts for these companies, they popping off. And one of the number one ways they gonna pop off is they gonna ratio you. You know what I'm saying? So you want to talk and be like, I'm breaking up with my girlfriend. Don't get mad when they ratio you back. So to me, that's all fair is love and war in the streets. When you play in the streets, you know what I'm saying? You could get shot.
Yeah.
Like there's a famous thing. Like, you can't get mad if you smack someone in the face. You can't get mad if they come back with the gun and shoot you like that. Bro, that's just how the streets work. It's like you can never control the reaction of somebody based on what you're doing. That's a company that if they feel they under attack, they go and defend themselves. You see what you call it is outside, right? Mm-hmm. Now, with our boy Brian Fargo. Now, if you were to say from a professionalism standpoint, it doesn't look good, I can empathize with that. Okay. But on the flip side, we have to say fair is fair, right? we seen on the past generation. I've seen it. This is how you trade used games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what are we doing? We can't have it both ways. We mad at one company defending themselves and the other company attacking it. That's social media. Again, when you play in the streets, that's what it is. So look, to me, it was funny. I was in the sidelines just laughing and looking at Twitter go absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether or not you feel it's professional for a company to defend themselves, that's up for debate. But it's the social media account. That's what social media accounts do. And the way I look at it is, for the first time in a while, Xbox is kind of defending themselves. Now, the last point I'll say to answer the exact question about the AAA stuff. Look, I get it. To the letter of the law, yeah, there's games on Game Pass, y'all. You know what I'm saying? There's great games on Game Pass, y'all. But there's also a fan base that says, look, we want the AAA and y'all ain't delivering it. And I'm not happy. So I get both sides. It's really not a right answer. It's what you find value in. If you don't find value in it, because just the AAA games, fine. But if you're going to say there's no game, there's people that are like, yo, I'm playing mad stuff. My backlog is lit. And I'm staying. Then I'm seeing another side of Twitter guys go, yo, I resubscribed my joint for 3 years. I've extended. I'm lit. So it's just, to me, it's just a lot of, again, playing in the streets. That's how it is. People going to do what they're going to do. I'm dying to hear what you guys say, because we didn't really talk about this, and I didn't know where you stood on it. And again, for anybody who think I'm taking a shot, I'm not. I just the way Cog moves off of Twitter, but I'm dying to know what you think.
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't feel like particularly super passionate about this in any certain way. The reason for that is I share the same energy you do. I don't really feel the need to publicize everything I do. Again, no shots fired with that one. I'm not trying to be rude about it. Just like I think about when I tweeted how Game Pass or Xbox needs to overhaul their achievement system, and someone's like, well, did you see what happened in Texas? Like, how are you talking about this? And again, my mantra is action. Like, I took action. I went to GoFundMe. I went to charities. I donated. This isn't me just like getting on my soapbox here, but more so saying I'm about the action mindset, not the talking mindset. So go do something. We don't got to tweet about it. Again, that's no shots at anyone. It's just how I roll. And much like Cog mentioned, I've seen a lot of these companies starting to level the playing field, if you will, where they'll get down and dirty just like a lot of these other Twitter users will. Sometimes it's very nice to see. I'm not here to debate the morality of Game Pass taking a shit on Kotaku. I don't like Kotaku. I don't give a fuck. So quite honestly, they earned it. Otherwise, when it comes to Game Pass, I'm more interested in talking about that. I do think there's a hole in their statement here, right? A kind of negligence on delivering AAA games. And look, just because, you know, it's easy to shit on Kotaku because no one's going to fight and defend them, doesn't mean that you can use that as a shield for your service not delivering something. Now, in all fairness, Sniper Elite 5 is coming out day one on Game Pass this week as you're listening to it. This is a AAA game, day one on Game Pass. So there are answers, and I know there's not a plentiful amount of them. It's sort of the double-edged sword of Xbox having to have two parties willing to play here, right? The receiver of the deal, Game Pass, and then, of course, who they're paying has to be willing to practically give their game away on the service and sacrifice sales and hope that the bag is big enough to overvalue what they would get in the terms of sales. So, you know, that's kind of what we're starting to see here is really come this Xbox Bethesda showcase, how they can plug those holes and how willing people are to play ball when they're in a desperate position. This will be very telling. It's why I saw some people in the comments saying we're really circle jerking Xbox here because we're not taking a shit on them right away, even though we were super pissed off about them during the initial reveal of the delays. Yeah. But it's because like I want to see how they respond to it. We have to give them the chance to really, in my opinion, I know not everyone agrees, but respond. So to bring it back on track here, once we see how many AAA games they're delivering for the rest of the year is when I'll sit here and really weigh out whether or not it's worth reacting to. But when it comes to Game Pass, you know, we can't act like people are only playing indies and AA games. I sat here on the show just a week or two ago saying I want people to put respect on them. I think it's important. They're the real drivers of the service on a consistency level. You can't get, I imagine, a AAA game every single month. I think that's really hard to imagine at this current moment in the service's life cycle. But not everyone's into that type of stuff. They're just not. And it's a service, and part of the service is appeasing tons of different fan bases. That's why I talk about Xbox's JRPG problem. That's a slice. That's hundreds of thousands of Game Pass subs you can be gaining if you're adjusting to the JRPG issues. Visual novels, you're starting to do that now with Danganronpa, with Virtue's Last Reward, Zero Escape, sorry. So addressing these little communities can build up your service, and a big community is AAA games. So yeah, they need to adjust and deliver on that front, and they haven't. So to me, it looks a little weak, if I'm honest. Like, you haven't really delivered big AAA games outside of 2021. And some people are going to hold you to task for that. They're going to unsub. And I feel like it's almost a Streisand effect in a manner of speaking, because now they've brought more attention to the subject than anyone probably originally cared about. So to me, I wouldn't have responded, because I'm just like, we're going to do fine anyway. People are going to still be reasonably upset with us with what happened with Starfield and Redfall, but we have a chance to patch this wound by over-delivering. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling about it right now.
No, I feel you. I think that's a perfectly reasonable position. I don't really have too much fault with it. I think what to me is interesting is like the aftermath of all of this, because it's like what I'm seeing is this dialogue that if you're not outraged the way someone else is outraged, then you're the problem. And the thing is, it's like, fam, like everybody got what they like and what they love and why they involved with a game and why they love a game and why they involved with the ecosystem and not. No one's morally upstanding above someone else to be like, yo, you need to be just as mad as I'm mad and we need to revolt together. If you feel so strongly with your tiki torch that this is what we got to burn the house down because we're upset, that's fine, but that's you. Not everyone feel that way. So all this fake demand better stuff, I'm not with that, because the people who truly are upset verbalize it the correct way and they don't attack other people, right? That's what I'm seeing about this. There's a lot of people who are not either in the ecosystem or want to get people upset about an ecosystem because of a decision they made. Again, stop yelling to the world you're breaking up with your girlfriend. Just break up. That's my thing. I don't got time to hear about it, because at the end of the day, if I'm not happy and I'm not satisfied, I'm going to the other platform. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not happy, I'm not satisfied, I'm going somewhere. Yeah, like all this, again, is too much of this. Just do it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's all I got to do. That's all I got to say. I just thought it was funny, because I just be watching people literally attacking other people, beefing with each other, people tweeting at other people because of this decision. It's just like, yo, this is video games, fam. It ain't that serious. Like, come on. But that's just me.
You know, I will say this, that value's in the eye of the beholder. So I don't want to belittle if anyone feels like it's not worth it. That's kind of the idea of these services, right? When the prices scale, or when they're not delivering content, or people may have signed up in advance of Starfield and Redfall, totally justified to unsubscribe. Like, I don't want people to feel like I don't want you to unsubscribe from me.
Absolutely. I'm going to clarify that. Yeah. I definitely, I definitely want to say, if you are unhappy, unsubscribe. I am a firm believer. Like, I have told people, I remember, case in point, real quick, I know I interrupted.
No. Go.
I remember, like, y'all know I'm a big Destiny fan or whatever, right? And I remember, like, PC joint came out and it was 60 frames. And I'm like, Xbox, yo, what's up? Why is there's no, what's going on? And you know what GOG did? Yo, I'm over here for a whole generation. I was not playing Destiny on Xbox. I was like, I'm good. My whole clan was mad at me. I'm like, yo, until they get that together, I'm not doing that. Same thing. I'm not waiting for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm not talking about it. I'm doing. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah. You have the right to be upset. Just like they say, vote with your wallet and just do it. That's the only point I want to say. But I did want to clarify that you are correct. I don't want to seem like I am attacking people for being upset at that. I just wanted to clarify that part.
Of course. Yeah, and honestly, I'm happy to see people willing to criticize Game Pass. I did it last year with some of their day one drops, and or may have been 2020. No, it was 2021. I criticized some of their day one drops, and a lot of people were really upset because Game Pass was in its kind of honeymoon do no wrong phase, which I understand, I respect. But like I was saying, hey, some of these games aren't of the quality that we should expect from this service, and so I'm happy to see the industry rise above that and be willing to critique Game Pass. It's something I've been kind of big on, that we can't let these companies like run away, any company run away and be free, exempt of any form of criticism. It's really important that while they're level in the playing field, that we keep it level on our end too and don't gas them up too hard. But what I was in the process of saying is that I do think value's in the eye of the beholder. And if you don't find it worthwhile, then please unsubscribe. There's no problems with that, because I could sit here and argue why it's valuable to me, but that's never going to apply to you. It's the same thing with game reviews. I can tell you all day till I'm blue in the face how great Danganronpa is. That doesn't mean you're going to go download it and play it. I always got to find a way to throw it.
That was good. That was actually really good.
You thought I was getting serious with it, didn't y'all?
That was good. That was good.
No, but in all seriousness, it's one of those things where like I can sit here and say, well, Trek to Yomi was worthwhile for me. Like that paid for itself, right? It's a $20 game in a $15 a month service for, at least for me, if you're subscribed to Ultimate, it paid for itself there. I would have lost money if I had played it, was dissatisfied, and I was looking forward to another game like Sniper Elite. Like this is a month where Game Pass is paying for itself. And if they can keep that consistently, they got a customer in me, which they've done a pretty good job of. There's been enough consistent, smaller indie day one drops, enough back catalog things for me to go back and experiment with, try things out, get another playthrough of Hitman 3 going, all that fun stuff, where for me, it's justified. There's a lot of value there. I'm a back catalog gamer. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people don't got time for that. They care about the new, and that should be respected. Again, that's where I think Game Pass should not be exempt of criticism. I know they had plans to. They've been kind of snake bitten on things like Replaced, things like Stalker 2. Of course, the big delays do fall on them. So, I'm not trying to be overly understanding, but some of it is just a matter of things being unfortunate circumstances. But yeah, it's just nice to see the conversation elevated for Game Pass, I think, into a level of criticism. And I think what Benji wrote in here about for people who do prefer AAA games and not really feeling that move by Game Pass, I totally get where they're coming from. It can definitely be interpreted in a bad way.
Yeah, no, and I told people who are interested on the fence on the Xbox ecosystem, I said, hey, man, I'll tell people honestly, like, look, hey, right now, based on what I know about you and the games you like, right now might be the time for you. You know what I'm saying? Because you gonna want to come in when that Starfield hit. You gonna want to come in when Avowed hit, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's totally okay. And I think that is totally fine with having those honest conversations. And everybody likes the ecosystem for their own personal reasons, and we just got to respect each other for that.
Yeah, it's another reason why I was very surprised about the delay for Starfield and Redfall, because that's going to hurt Game Pass. That was a major driver for them. They didn't have to worry about anything else outside of them. Like they were like, we're the big game this year, possibly. Like we will drive subs to this service, and getting rid of those, it's a chain reaction. So this is not good for them, this type of conversation surrounding the service. You want to keep that positivity, because people are like feeling this is like a charity, right? Like, oh, you're giving it away for $1 a month, $15 a month and all these games. And now it's amazing to see how the conversations turn. For me, still valuable, still love the service. I'm fine with critiquing it, but I totally get where some people are coming from with what's being said about the Twitter account. All right, number 3 comes from Kyle Cano. Howdy, boys. Why don't PlayStation and Xbox copy Nintendo's genres more? Where's the Xbox Smash Bros, Mario Kart, and Mario Party? Or is each platform's audience conditioned in such a way that these would not be a success? Cheers and have a good one. I love this write-in. Yeah, I was thinking about it. Of course, we want the Xbox platform fighter. That'd be amazing. You look at Multiverses, you look at Nick All-Star Brawl. People love COG, these mascot, big brawl fighters that are kind of like Smash Bros style. I feel like every brand should have one of these. PlayStation has one with PlayStation All-Stars. I'd love to see them bring that back. Do you think that Xbox should take a page out of Nintendo's book? A little Smash Bros, a little Mario Kart, maybe? How are you feeling about that?
I would love it. Love it. And this is where I get critiqued a lot by Xbox fans. Oh, they come for me.
Oh, tell me more.
They be like, oh, why you want them to copy Nintendo? Let them do them. They don't need. And I'm like, but that's popular. People like it. You know what I'm saying? Like people like it. Like, why can't we have it? All right, cool. You feel it's copy. Okay, fine. But it's just like, the same thing with the that's why I started #JustOne. I love those Sony AAA, cinematic experiences. I love JRPGs. It don't hurt to have a couple in the tuck. It don't hurt. Like, I think people have this misconception that if you make one of them, you're copying the entire template of you're just adding something to a portfolio. And this is why I respect what Sony's doing with the Bungie acquisition. They recognize they are deficient in the live service and the multiplayer games. That is not something that is their forte. Forget the word. I butchered it. Whatever. Forte. So there you go. I got it. So at the end of the day, you shore up the weakness, right? And you say, okay, this is where we invest in it. And again, this is why, and I'm going to come full circle with this. This is why I like acquisitions because when you make acquisitions, you can shore up things you're deficient in. And that's all I want Xbox to do. Like, because at the end of the day, not everything you're going to be able to create in-house. Not everything. So, that's where I'm at with it. I would not. How cool would it be? You got a game with Chief, Marcus Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? You could throw
It writes
so
itself.
many. It literally writes itself. And it just, I think gamers and the fanboy aspect of it, unfortunately, gets the ego because a lot of people, I'm going to say something really controversial. A lot of people have made a decision, whether it be financial or otherwise, that they are locking themselves into one platform, right? So even though something else on the other side is popping, yeah, it's all right. But the reality is you just won't try it. You either, one, not financially able, or two, refuse to even try. Right. So if you don't try, then you see these other experiences. And that's the simplicity of the mindset of the fanboy. Don't limit yourself. See what the other side is doing and say, yo, you could give credit. It doesn't make you less of a gamer. You can have your favorite. It'll make you less. And that's what gamers do. You do the same thing. You're like, yo, bro, I'm playing my Tails over here. I'm doing this game over here. I'm doing my little Pokemon, doing my league. That's what gamers do. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where this mentality of, yo, don't do what they doing. We got to do.
Dude, I have similar thoughts in a certain respect that in our first news item, I'll definitely talk about. But
no doubt.
Well said on that. Yeah, I'd love to see more of these kind of platform fighters. That's kind of what I'm about. Kart races are great, but you look at something like what Square Enix did with Chocobo GP, and it's like it could be easily botched if you try to make it like a freemium game. So I trust Xbox wouldn't do that, but I would love to see them get involved nonetheless and have some fun with their IP. Make them more. Yeah, that's the thing that's what's great about these is you connect with them more, right? They're introductions for some people. When I played Smash, I didn't think I played a Zelda game at that time, so I didn't know who Link was. I just liked Link because of his green outfit. Green's my favorite color. He had a sword. I loved his elf ears, long hair. I was like, yo, this guy's what I dream of looking like.
Bro.
The music hits, yeah, right? Everything about that in Smash 64. I love this guy. And then you find out he's got his own games. And I just feel like, it's important for them to nurture the introductory points. We often forget, because this is a show for young adults, that we're trying to nurture a little bit of the younger gamer. How do you do that? How do you do it in the smart way? Platform fighters, kart racers, that type of stuff. That's why Nintendo has generational loyalty. As much as they suck, it's why people who are grown-ass adults will be in my Retro Rebound comment section, pounding their chest, sword and shield at the ready, saying Nintendo does no wrong, no matter what.
And we ain't gonna act like Nintendo ain't really winning these NPDs, right?
Yeah.
We ain't gonna act like Nintendo's not dominating Sony and Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to, because people act like
they're just in a world of their own. Yeah.
But I like how people act like that don't count because it doesn't go to their narrative, the type of games they like. But the masses have chosen Nintendo's winning out here because of that. So why not have one of those?
Bro, and I'd argue Nintendo's investing less than ever. Like, some of their games are honestly half finished. Like, I can guarantee you this new Mario Strikers game, it looks awesome. You will see monthly releases for like 6 months, and that will be the full game. I can promise you. They'll add new strikers, they'll add a new course, they'll add a new mode. Call it a day. I'm telling you, watch out, because I played Mario Golf last year. Same story. Amazing framework, bare bones, added content. Once it was done, I was like, this is like the perfect golf game. I love this. But it wasn't there at launch. And so it's funny how they're still winning despite all that. All right, number 4 goes to Jake Williams, Subdukes. So many companies seem like they are looking to be bought by bigger fish these days. EA has met with multiple companies looking to be bought out or merged. Ubisoft has garnered some interest from buyers, and Warner Bros. Is even looking to cut up its gaming division for sale. It seems like ever since Microsoft acquired Bethesda, every company looks to look like it could be bought at any given point. Where is the sudden urge to be bought coming from? Why do so many companies want to give up their creative freedom and independence so easily all of a sudden? I understand money plays a role in this, but these bigger companies have always had money to buy studios. Why now? Thanks, and I had to use the public restroom, but I chose the stall with no TP kind of day. I have yet to have that happen to me, but I did have my brick story, my infamous brick story.
Brick story is legendary.
Yes, that is legendary. That's up there with the flannel.
Yes.
Cog, your king acquisition here. Why is everyone trying to sell?
Isn't it interesting? I just find it so fascinating that everyone's wanting, EA's putting out statements, Ubisoft's what's happening, man? Why do people want to be acquired? Look, man, the game's changing. And I think this is where sometimes us as hardcore gamers, because I'll put myself in that category, even though I'm clowning right now and I'm being super messy this show. But, me as a hardcore gamer, we struggle. We're so used to the way things were and how things operate. But we're in the midst of a paradigm shift, and we're seeing it, constantly, with the Microsoft Activision thing. We're seeing Sony snatching up all these studios. You're seeing all this Embracer Group, Tencent. You're seeing it, man. It is changing, and it's the digital mindscape, streaming, cloud, all this other stuff combined. And I think honestly, it scares a lot of people. It does, and rightfully so, because we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm a realist, right? I may not like 100% with everything about where things are going, but I do understand that in order for certain things to survive, it's going to have to go this way. So that's what I think was happening here. To the question with EA, yeah, I was surprised, right? And especially the NBC Universal aspect of it, because that almost seemed like an entertainment arm kind of a deal. Who was going to be, and it looked like it came close, Manny. It looked like it came really close down to the wire. So, the vibe I got was Andrew Wilson wanted to kind of retain CEO, and underneath that banner of NBC Universal, but maybe the price was a little too high for NBC's liking. And look, we're not going to hear the end of it. People right now, we see in Square. We even seeing people kind of get what I call get in shape to get sexy to go out on a date. Like they tripping fat. They be like, you know what? I don't need this Crystal Dynamics, and I don't need what's not making money. Let me hit the gym. Like people getting sexy now. Hey, I'm outside. Like it's cuffing season. People are trying to sell because they feel that the industry is shifting, and if now it's under one roof, that's maybe the way it survives, because we see these games. These games ain't cheap, man. We've seen Avengers. Let's look at Square just by itself. Look at Avengers. Look how much money they put into that, right? And didn't get back that investment. You miss on a AAA title these days?
Hurts more and more.
It's crazy. And look at Sony. Like they're the king of the AAA. The quality bar is there. But let's just say, God forbid, they had a bad stretch and they miss on a couple of, you know what I mean? So that's why people are consolidating. You got to have these different variety titles, and how you going to position yourself in a potential, cloud future or Azure backbone future or whatever infrastructure future it goes. So yeah, I think that's what it is. I think we're not going to hear the end of it. We're going to see more. I was very surprised that the NBC Universal thing was part of this as far as gaming. Like that was interesting.
Yeah. This actually was in our news write-up, but it's best just to talk about it now, honestly, since it's topical. This report had come from Puck News' Dylan Byers, where, as Cog had said, EA and NBC Universal had almost merged, and this would have been ran by EA CEO Andrew Wilson, but the deal had fell through due to disagreements over leadership and price. And despite that, EA has persisted in looking to sell off. So there's still a chance sometime by the end of this year, we hear something about them selling to someone. It says the talks have occurred as early as March this year, where they look to sell to Disney at one point, but still NBC remains the most interested suitor. For me, it's one of those things where I don't think some of these companies, I mean, for them, it's a business, right? We're here as passionate gamers, and we're like, why would you give up your creative freedom and all this stuff? For them, it's like, now is the time. Think of this actually, before I even complete that thought. Think about in 2020 when Pokemon cards were blowing up, right? Everyone had all these spare cards lying around. They were worth something. Logan Paul stepped in. The price of these cards skyrocketed because everyone was making videos off the back of Logan Paul, and Pokemon became this big ass thing again. And these cards went from like 9,000 to, in the case of like our first edition Charizard, PSA 10, like $365,000 plus. You could buy a house with a trading card, right? That's what happened here. I view it very similarly there as I do with the games industry. You look at the money that I think like Gearbox got from Embracer Group, right? $1 billion, multiple billions of dollars, right? You look at the prices these companies are paying to get content into their stable for the future. Now is the time to sell. You may have worked hard building up EA for all these years. I think they value it $50-something billion. They can get way more than that. And that's the idea. The shareholders are looking and saying, there's a huge payday for us here, bigger than we'll ever get. If we don't cash in now, we never will. That's why everyone's trying to sell. It's time to get paid. And some people do value their independence. That's why I think you see companies, let's see here. It's starting to become a very thin list. Ubisoft apparently wants to stay independent. We'll just use them. A crappy example, but a lot of these companies do pride themselves on their independence, but they eventually end up folding in somewhere because there's just so much money that you'd be dumb to say no to it. You'd make your life harder. That's what's happening here. I know Bethesda apparently didn't really want to sell off big time. I think they said in one of the interviews, but when you see $7.5 billion as all of your franchises outside of Fallout and Elder Scrolls are struggling mightily, you're like, well, I'm going to take that cash and run away. That's an insane amount of money. And I wouldn't view it as an overpay, but I value their IP much higher than others. But my point being, it's as simple as this, Jake. It's just payday season. These companies are paying much higher premiums on these shares. Like we saw with Activision Blizzard. Microsoft paid a premium, and Activision Blizzard is in their worst PR disaster in their company's history right now.
No, absolutely. And I think it behooves the companies who are looking to be acquired to do their due diligence on who they're going to be in bed with, so to speak, right? Because to Jake's point about the creative freedom and all that part, that's why you're seeing Brian Fargo and these guys come out and say, no, we can still do what we want to do here. That's why we do it. And maybe, Tencent's bag is bigger, right? And I'm not judging anybody, but there's other companies, I think Splash Damage or whoever, they took the Tencent bag, right? So to me, it's not like every time you get acquired, it's an automatic, you've lost creative control. There are going to be scenarios where you can still do creatively what you want to do, sure, but there's going to be other scenarios that's not. So you got to be cognizant of who you choose to partner with. And that's the key. It's business and it's decision, because at the end of the day, this is how I look at it. I said this to Colin, I think we were talking. And my thing is, what's the alternative? So you want to keep independent, you want to keep full creative control. You want to make the games you want to make. And we respect that. But to me, there's nothing sadder than games that I love, companies that I love. And I look a year down, damn, THQ, they don't exist. Damn, Acclaim, Midway, they don't exist. Damn, Midway. You know what I'm saying? They closed this. Like, there's nothing sadder than that to me, when you see those type of things for your beloved game. So to me, I'm always going to be on this side of I'd rather you at least fight for acquisition on some level to save your company, because if you do it yourself and you can't maintain it and you're out of here. That's the volatility of the games industry that gamers don't realize. This thing goes like this. This is why I chose not to be in the game industry for a long part of my life. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, IT is solid. I'll do IT. So everybody gonna need a computer, they network fix at some point. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stay with thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I resisted, because it was like this, and people go through jobs and get fired and laid off. Yeah. It's a crazy business, man.
Absolutely. Let's move into our news, because this number one topic I know has had a lot of anticipation for us to talk about it. In a day and age where multiverses are popular, take solace in the idea that there is another dimension where Xbox struck a deal with Marvel to make exclusive games. It has been officially revealed through Stephen L. Kent's book, The Ultimate History of Video Games, Volume 2, that Xbox turned down an offer by Marvel to make games using their IP exclusively for their platform. Jay Ung, head of Marvel Games and executive vice president, explained how they cut their deal with Activision to seek out a better partner, as the team wasn't happy with the quality of their Spider-Man games. Activision mocked them, wishing them at the team at Marvel good luck finding their unicorn. And off Marvel went to both Microsoft and Sony, and indeed in Sony they did find their unicorn. Quote, "We don't have any big console deals with anyone right now. What would you like to do?" Microsoft's strategy, Ong recalls, was to focus on its own IP, and as such, it decided to pass on the offer. Quote, "I sat down with these two execs from PlayStation third party, Adam Boyes and John Drake, in August 2014 in a conference room in Burbank. I said, we have a dream that is possible that we could beat Arkham and have one game at least and multiple games that could drive adoption of your platform," end quote. Sony responded by offering to make a AAA PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man game to be developed by Insomniac, which was independent at the time and was said to be one of Sony's most important partners. Sean Miles writes in, "Hello, gents. With the news coming out that Xbox passed on PlayStation exclusivity, passed on Spider-Man exclusivity in 2014, I have two questions. First, given the timeline, Phil is announced as head of Xbox in March 2014, and the PlayStation meeting about Spider-Man is in August 2014, is this Phil Spencer's biggest regret of the Xbox One era? Second, if Xbox had not passed, which studio do you think would have come closest to meeting the high bar set by Insomniac? Also, thanks for the amazing shows. I've been listening since episode 1 and was even convinced by your constant shilling of Ultimate to become a patron." Thank you, Sean. All I'm going to say, Cog, to start us off here, thank God PlayStation got it. Thank God PlayStation got it, man. Dude. Look, I know a lot of people saw this, and we have sat here, and we'll get into it, and begged Xbox to get in on that pop culture. But when this deal was struck, you had really 6 first-party studios. One was Mojang, one was Xbox Game Studios Publishing. Maybe they could have found a partner there. You had Coalition carrying gears. You had Forza Horizon. You had 343 doing whatever the hell they were doing with Halo. Things were not looking bright. And while the timeline is not looking pretty, I'm not trying to defend them here, but all I'm saying is they were in a position where they were proving why they needed to exist, and they were not deserving of the Marvel brand that Sony was more than capable of handling. So rightfully, they did a deal with Sony. I'm sure it was a bit easier, by the way, with Sony having the movie rights to Spider-Man, that this was a more sensible partnership for Spider-Man on PlayStation platforms. For maybe consumers, it's synonymous with PlayStation, those two. But I'm just relieved that Xbox ended up not getting it, because I feel like justice wouldn't have been done. Spider-Man on PS4 is literally a god tier superhero game. It is everything since day one that I've dreamed of in a superhero video game, with my favorite superhero, Spider-Man. The gadgetry, the personal story, the duality of man, right? Peter Parker, Spider-Man, what those lives are like, the free flow combat, the beautiful graphics, the amazing feeling web swinging, the different suits, so much there that Insomniac got. This hero was built for them because of the games they made, like Sunset Overdrive, like Ratchet and Clank. The mobility, the gadgetry of those games just fits beautifully with what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man at his core. So this was, I think, a best case scenario. But what I will throw on here, and this ended up getting picked up, this is when you know it's a slow news week. I threw in my video talking about this subject that Xbox had turned down the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic exclusivity for the remake.
You're going viral again.
Yeah, I guess so. Right. And it's funny because
it's always viral.
Yeah. It's funny because this wasn't the first time I've said it. I've said it in videos. I know that. And I definitely said it on this show. To me, the bigger problem here was Xbox nowadays wasn't game. And maybe because they're pressing for day one Game Pass with a lot of these games, I don't know this for sure. I could see a reality where they're like, well, we're going to do timed exclusivity, but we want this day one on Game Pass. Because if you look at their history of timed exclusives, they are day one in Game Pass. And I'm sure Aspire, Lucasfilms was looking at it going, it's Star Wars, dude. Like, this shit's going to sell. Don't you just want the exclusivity? And I think that goes against Xbox's mantra. That is my guess on what happened. But point being is they turned a deal down here at the end of the day. And PlayStation saw excellent opportunity again and took it. To me, nowadays is the bigger problem. Them passing on a deal when they were ill-equipped to handle it is not an issue. But nowadays, when you do have the means, you do have the publishing partners to do something about it, and you still haven't done anything about it, that's the bigger problem. Cog, I know you're as impassioned as I am. There's much more to be said here. How do you feel about what happened in 2014 and what's happening now with Xbox and pop culture?
So much to say. You said so much that I completely agree with us on so many levels. And look, I got a chance to meet Adam Boyes. I had this discussion. Off the record, but I told him, I was just like, you're a legend in the industry. What you guys have done with that franchise is amazing. And shout out to King, because he gets pushback from the Xbox community. I got to give King this. He rides for Xbox, but I would always say to him, bro, like, why are you so against my hashtag just one for Xbox, right?
Mhm.
When it comes to superhero games. And this is like king of the superhero, the comic book, the genre. He knows every storyline. He'll tell you about side stuff with Spider-Man and the Black Cat. He'll tell you about and he's like, this is the most official. Like, that was his game of the year over God of War. Like, he is a Spider-Man guy on PlayStation because he said that's how a superhero game is. And you got to understand, the history of superhero games prior to that point wasn't really that good outside of a few of your mentions that you always mention, some of the older, some Spider-Man games.
Yeah.
But historically, superhero games as a whole have not been good.
Yeah.
But getting back on track, with Xbox, I'm with you, Maddie. They were not in position to be taking that on. Now, am I disappointed? Yes, that they didn't feel like, okay, that was something that they should pursue. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. You know what I'm saying? I always feel they need to be better about pop culture, and I'm going to hold them accountable to that. They are not good with attaching themselves to superhero and pop culture items. So what I will say in defense is the Xbox then is definitely not the Xbox now. And I know Sean had mentioned, like, well, Phil started right then. I can speak to, from what I know internally, that even though he started then, he didn't have a lot of power at the table when it comes to the big decision and the direction of where Xbox was going. He was just establishing himself. He's new in the building. He's new in the role. He's starting to build himself up and then become the Phil that we know now. So all I will say is that it's a different Xbox. 2, I'm 100% with Maddie. What studio was really going to do that Spider-Man game?
Yeah. All of them were busy at the same time, but yeah, none of them I think could have done it justice. Not because they're worse developers. I think Insomniac's a world-class developer, by the way. Just
they don't get enough credit.
No, I think they get tons of credit. I think, like, when you look at the coalition, like, they're like world-class third-person shooter developers, right? Like, they're not going to make, in my opinion, I wouldn't match them up for a top-tier Spider-Man game, right? 343, same kind of business, like first-person shooter developers. Not thinking really about Spider-Man with them.
No, and I agree. I just think, again, it doesn't mean it's impossible. I just feel like it was the perfect marriage. So it's just like, it made sense that they did that, and it worked out better for the game, and that it ended up going in. Yeah. All I'm saying is, moving forward now, now that we are in position, now that we have studios and there are things, now I want the revisiting of this.
Yes.
That's what I want. I don't want this to die like how it died in 2014, and only one side is making these type of games, that type of stuff. But yeah, that was it. And I get to his question that I don't know back then who would have been able to make that game. that was, man, Insomniac. It was perfect too, because, like you said, Sunset Overdrive, which is always criminally slept on, you can see the inklings and the foundation of what evolved and what became Spider-Man.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? And I'm a superhero guy, so I'm about the better game, the better. But salute to them, man. Sony, and they always give Sony this credit. They are savvy with putting their finger on the pulse of the culture and whatever's going on. They're excellent.
Dude, absolutely. And I really hope, this kind of goes back to our conversation earlier about how Phil Spencer has said, well, we don't want to make a blue Xbox, or we don't want to have a green of every, whatever. He used colors to kind of equate the similarity to the console and everyone doing similar things rather than like Xbox experimenting, PlayStation experimenting. But what we learned with, like, the achievement trophy system is, like, that was an idea Xbox brought out, PlayStation took, and they built something off of it. Just now with PS Plus, Xbox came out, here's Game Pass, PlayStation took it, here's PS Plus. I think it is inferior, but they said, well, here's the classic games. That is evolving something there, and how they're handling those classic games, I should say, really, with the trophies.
Yeah.
So these companies clearly in the past haven't been afraid to borrow from one another in their own little war against each other, right?
Yep.
And to me, this is such a no duh type of thing to borrow from. Let's strike deals while Ubisoft is able to work on an exclusive, or not exclusive, sorry, but a Star Wars game at Massive Entertainment. We have the manpower to go figure something out for that. That is one of the answers I'm looking for at this showcase. Yes. Of course, we'll have our prediction show shortly, but I will let people know this is one answer I'm hoping to see finally.
Right.
Outside of Indiana Jones, what is your answer to the onslaught from PlayStation of Wolverine, Spider-Man 2, and Star Wars KOTOR remake? What is your answer? Do you figure out something with Monolith, with Wonder Woman? Do you make a new game? Like, you can't. I like it. I love Indiana Jones. I shouldn't even say I like it. I love Indiana Jones, but come on, we know he's not popping off the same as what's going on with Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. He's not. So I'm just saying, you can make people care about it, but we got to go beyond that. That's one of the big answers I'm looking for. So in answer to Sean's question, like, back then, no, not really concerned. I think it was actually the wise call to pass because they had no option but to pass. And I'm glad PlayStation ended up with it. Nowadays, we have the option to do something about it. I don't know their reasoning for denying the KOTOR remake. I just know they had the opportunity to take it. It was thought for some time that it wouldn't be Sony. It ended up being Sony. And I think it's because of negotiations. That would be my guess there. Again, with day one Game Pass, just given Xbox's track record. But I hope that does not happen again. You cannot continue to pass on this type of stuff.
Preach. Final thought was, that's why I love what we do with Define and Duke. And I love when people actually watch the whole show that we hold them to the fire. We hold their feet to the fire. And I love what you said, Maddie, because that's how we feel. I'm not getting off of them on that. I'm not, and I know you not, right? Which is that KOTOR remake, pop culture stuff. This has to happen because you need that answer. You need these type of things in your ecosystem. And I love that, and I think it's okay to do it respectfully and voice that thing. And that's where I just feel gamers as a whole, we got to do better on. And it's okay to be critical. No one's afraid to be critical. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's got Bentleys underneath the table. Like, it's real out here. Like, yo, I don't have to do this. Like, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I do it because I love it. You do it because you love it. And we want those games on the platform and we want the ecosystem to be better. That's all. It's just about being respectful.
Absolutely. Number 2 for our news write-up. The Xbox Activision deal is moving along nicely, it would seem. During an interview with Belgium's Lecco, Microsoft President and Vice Chairman Brad Smith offered some details on how things are progressing. Quote, "It's moving fast, at least fast enough for an acquisition of this size. We have received requests for information on this subject here in Brussels, but also in London and Washington. We answer questions, we give briefings, and we provide the information requested. One of our attorneys summed it up nicely by saying, we're coming to the end of the beginning, and now we're entering the beginning of the middle. It's a long process, and we're still at the stage where we're answering questions. For us, of course, the sooner it is done, the better, but we will respect the process," end quote. Michael writes in, "Hey, Duke boys, just heard that the Microsoft Activision deal is moving at a fast pace for a deal this large. Obviously, this does mean that the deal isn't for sure a thing, but it is good to not only hear news, but some positive news on this. What are your thoughts on this news? If you had to give a prediction when this deal would be done, if it goes through, when do you think it would be done? I would guess Q1 next year, or possibly Q4 this year. But if it's not done by November, it won't happen this year. Don't see the government working that hard during the holidays. I left work early on my Friday to enjoy my days off. Then on my way home, got a flat tire kind of day."
Oh, that sucks. I had that flat.
That specific misfortune.
Yeah, that's
curse
very
Levin.
specific. Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about the progression of the deal, right? If we're at the beginning of the middle, this deal started in January. So we're in the beginning of the middle here in May. Do you think this concludes by the end of the year? I'm thinking Q1.
Q1.
Yeah.
I'm with Michael. Q1, top of the year. And I think, again, this is why the Starfield Redfall really hurts, because if these were in tuck and the Activision deal magically was been able to been finished prior, they would have been okay to fill that gap. But the acquisition didn't fall out in time, and now they're stuck with this gaping hole. You know what I mean, on the first part side. But yeah, I think Q1 realistically, I think 20. That's, again, this is why people are still excited for the ecosystem. You look at how it lines up in 2023. I know nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear wait another year, and I get it. And if you're not happy, you don't want to wait, you get out the platform and you wait until they bring the games that you bring. But at the end of the day, like, this is why, because you look at the games that's lined up. You look, by then the Activision deal should be finalized. They'll be able to take control of a lot of maybe the marketing and inclusion into Game Pass, and then you got yourself the year that you thought you were going to have this year.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, oh, so yeah, there is survival, but good news. I'm with you, Maddie. I think, the deal will get done. I'm still a firm believer. I'm in agreement with Hogue Law. This thing is just going to take time. I think Q1 really, if they're magically able to pull it off, and you able to do something with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, don't let me stop you. You know what I'm saying? Don't let me get in the way of my prediction.
Yeah.
But I think realistically about the Q1.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's good to see things are progressing along smoothly. For a while, the news cycle was dominated pre-delay by every other legal hurdle that Activision and Microsoft had to go over, and more controversy. So it was just nice to see things are going smoothly. So just wanted to provide everyone with a little update on that. Again, Q1 is the part on the board that we're looking to hit here. We'll see if that happens. Obviously, if it finishes earlier, plenty of options for them now. But
we got things you could do.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. All right, number 3. Like many companies throughout the industry, Capcom is taking a strong look at its catalog of games that could be due for a revival. During an investor relations Q&A, they were inquired about any plans they have for their dormant IP, to which they said, quote, "We are currently putting together plans for our pipeline based on demand data for the market. Going forward, we will continue to take customers' wishes into consideration while devising our title lineup." End quote. Jambi writes in, "Hello, Code Red Dukes. Hope you're doing well. With the news that Capcom is thinking of reviving some of their dormant IP, what are some series you guys would like to see come back? Though they are only now talking about reviving dormant IPs, we know that about that Capcom leak for a while now. Either way, my personal picks would be Beautiful Joe and Power Stone. Love the great content you all make, and I hope you have a Capcom revives all of their old IPs except Mega Man Battle Network kind of day." Don't do that to me. Don't put that out there like that.
Damn, they came for you on that one. That's your heart.
Yeah, obviously, I'll spoil mine right away. That would be my pick. Mega Man Battle Network. It's a Game Boy Advance exclusive series for those who don't know. It got 6 games. It was kind of Capcom's answer to Pokemon. It was a series where you played as this character named Lan. Instead of Mega Man being this side-scrolling game, he was a program on this device called a PET, a personal terminal, and you could jack into any device, like a computer, like a circuit box outside, and each of these things that you would enter would be their own worlds and levels in the game. And it was very free and open, especially for a Game Boy Advance game at its time. And what would happen is you get these like chips, which would be different moves, like a sword attack or a buster attack. And it would be this action turn-based combat system where you're like moving around this grid in real time, and you're loading up your chip selection in turns. And you keep doing that over and over. And it's really intense. It's really fun. Keeps that Mega Man spirit. But it's a series that, again, I've just been holding out for them to do that collection. I got to feel they're going to do the collection. The other one I was going to pick, we'll talk about in our next news item. But Cog, what are you thinking about Capcom?
Mine's are different. Since we're the theme of Japanese horror and samurai, there was one game that they made back in the day called Omnimusha, and would love to see a modern take on it, to see if they could get away from the static kind of camera angles that it was. Because to some extent, it was a lot of Resident Evil influence, on it with the fixed camera stuff at that time. But that was one. Dino Crisis, I remember that. Maybe a reimagining there. I know other indie games have tried to. I think was it Second Extinction or whatever. I forgot the name of that game. They tried their little hand. I would like something like that. Yeah, and then remember Lost Planet?
Yeah, I loved Lost Planet. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, Lost Planet, little wintry, feel outside. Like I think there's potential for reimagining with a next gen feel and sensibilities on all 3 of those titles. And they got stuff in the tuck. Like everybody knows them for the big stuff, and we get it. The Resident Evil, the Street Fighter, all that. But they've got a lot of stuff in the tuck that really people love. So I like those 3. See what they can do with them.
Absolutely. Well, I have more to answer Jambi's question with, but for that to happen, move into number 4. Dragon's Dogma released in May of 2012, and now, 10 years later, Capcom is celebrating its anniversary. The developer has launched a brand new website commemorating the game's history with the original launch, its Dark Arisen re-release in 2013, the PS4 Xbox One version in 2016, the Switch version in 2019, and the anime in 2020. Furthermore, the game's director, Hideaki Itsuno, said this in a translated tweet, quote, "I look forward to working with you," end quote. It is worth noting that this very director had the choice between Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma 2 as his next game, and clearly he opted for DMC 5. Now he is developing an unannounced title with Capcom. Thanks to the catastrophic NVIDIA leak, we can safely assume Dragon's Dogma 2 is all but confirmed as it appears on the list, as many other games have that were eventually confirmed to be real. So yeah, to continue my answer to Jambi's question, this would have been my other one. Bring back Dragon's Dogma. This is the best fantasy RPG that no one's played because it was in the shadow of Skyrim. This came out May 2012. I know Skyrim was November 2011, but that was the fantasy rave, right? All anyone was talking about. If you like a mixture of, I would say, Skyrim and Monster Hunter, this is a game for you. Yeah, it's open world. It's got these long, stretched out, not in a negative way, but stretched out boss fights. It's a very difficult game. And all these boss fights are much like Monster Hunter, targeting weak spots on their body. They react to them. Pieces of them fall off. It's a dangerous world. Going out at night is very difficult. And it's got a job system where you can like rotate your jobs and change what your character can do. There's a ton of them. It is a exceptional game. To this day, I really strongly recommend people check out Dark Arisen. It's a slow start. And not by slow, I don't mean egregious, like 10 hours worth of slow. The first like 1 to 2 hours are a little slow at the gate. But once you get let out into the open world, it's this moment of like, what do I do now? So it's a very, very enticing game. And I'm excited to see them, without a doubt, reveal more, probably at the Summer Games Fest. That would be my prediction there. Cog, do you have any history with Dragon's Dogma? And
No.
is this on the list of maybe games you'd like to see be revived from Capcom?
It looks pretty cool. I'm just taking a look at it right now. Yeah, definitely. If you already answered how I missed this, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously, probably completely engrossed in Skyrim at the time. But yeah, this looks really cool. If I remember, shout out to Kai Batsu. I think one of my writers at Lognet also kind of goes with this game again. It may be Nick. Shout out to Undead if you're listening. I think you're a Baldur's Gate guy, but I think there is someone else's Dragon's Dogma Hardcore. They always talk about it. And it looks cool. I ain't got no problem with them reimagining this. And then it looked very lordly. It looks very lordly, very, very. And I'm seeing big, fighting big ogres and giants, and
dude, it is
this joint looking all right. Like I ain't gonna front.
So good. No exaggeration either. Like there's no real, in my opinion, jank to it. It's a hardcore RPG, right? It's not hardcore in the choice and consequence sense, but like in your gameplay decision making, it is very, very good.
In question, it's third person. I'm seeing like a third person kind of flow. Oh, that's the flow. Yeah, it looks good. It really does.
Yeah.
A nice little engine on it next gen. Let's go. And we know them leaks have seemed to be accurate.
Yeah, it's got to be. This whole website being created for an anniversary. Come on, they're going to reveal it this year. There's no doubt. That NVIDIA leak has been on the money. So there's no doubt in my mind we're going to see more Dragon's Dogma at least announced this year. And all I'm going to say is if this comes out this year, 2022 saved. 2022 is fucking saved for me, man. That's a game that's like on my list of like I've been asking for years. And then the NVIDIA leak happened, and at first we didn't know it was true. Then everything started to get confirmed for it, and now it's looking like a sure thing. So I'm really hoping, because it's been when did DMC 5 come out? That was what, 2017? No, it was 2018, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It's been long enough where maybe it could come out this year. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'm just thinking about what Hideaki was working on. So it might not be ready, but I'm pumped for a reveal of some kind. And I wonder if they're going to call it Dragon's Dogma 2. That would be equally surprising.
Question.
Answer maybe.
The Capcom train, I know they have an association a lot of times with Sony, but would this make you excited if a certain publisher dropped the Game Pass bag and it was coming out this year?
Yeah, what's funny is you say that, and obviously this is me running away with my imagination a bit, but one thing that I feel Dragon's Dogma, if you could argue, is missing, and it's funny they tried this with an MMO and it failed, was an online component. So Dragon's Dogma, for those who haven't played it, has a mechanic called the pawn system. So you build a main pawn who is like your companion. It's an NPC companion. You tweak its behaviors to however you want. You customize them, giving them their own role, kind of addressing a weak spot in your personal build, and they're with you throughout the whole game. then you can go to these portals and you can get other people's pawns that you can download, and they'll join you as your third and fourth party members. And people customize and make these awesome looking, like people make Naruto characters, so on and so forth, that you can get, or you can just get people's custom pawns and bring them into your party, and they specialize in things. What's really neat is the AI is super intelligent. So as they run around the open world, they learn things about the world. And when you bring other pawns in, let's say I bring in a pawn that's a higher level who's seen a certain region of map that I have yet to, they'll be like, be careful, there's harpies up there. You don't want to go there. Go around the back.
Oh,
it's really cool.
Fire.
Right. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, not only could you evolve that, and I feel like with cloud-based technology, that's something Xbox has really been hitting on with their AI. I was like also thinking co-op is the missing thing from Dragon's Dogma. This game does have a vibe that I love it as a single player game. It's very pure, but I could totally see them swinging co-op in here. Again, I would personally prefer single player because I think the pawn system is there's a reason it never got replicated. It's very complex. It's very unique.
I like that.
It is very, very cool. I would prefer that over just another co-op game. But if they were to do co-op, it feels like something that would be a good fit. And I could see Xbox getting in on it because we know they like their fantasy RPGs. Elder Scrolls, Avowed, probably this, maybe we'll see. So yeah, your head is in the right place, I would say.
Oh, bro, you got now color me interested.
Okay,
you got
cool.
me now, man. I'm in. I'm
Cool.
all about this now.
Good.
What? Okay. I like that. That sounds fun. See, I love when there's advancements in AI and things like that, and people could go further. But that sounds so really cool.
What's crazy is that was in 2012. There's nothing like it since then. And that's one of the moments where I feel like you can, outside of, I'd say, The Last of Us, that was a moment where I could tangibly feel, like even The Last of Us Part 2, like you could feel the AI advancements. Like it was insane. It was next level, right? I feel like Dragon's Dogma is just one of those few moments I can like pin it and say like, yeah, that was a time where things were really different for a game.
Sounds good.
All right, number 5. After much trials and tribulations following the unexpected layoff of 12 Raven Software QA, the Game Workers Alliance, a union of Raven Software quality assurance employees, has voted to become officially recognized by Activision Blizzard. At first, Activision Blizzard declined, but now they are the second union in the North American video game industry, following workers at Beastbreaker unionizing in December of 2021. The Milwaukee branch of National Labor Relations Board counted the ballots, and out of the 22 submitted, 19 had voted yes, and 3 had voted no. If no one does, then the result will become official, but objections are allowed until May 31st. How do you feel about this one, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always biased towards developers, man, and I'm always gonna be biased that they're like superheroes to me. They work the hardest, they go extra hard. Now, yes, they're making video games. I get it, you know what I'm saying, but you know the amount of care and expertise needed to do these things that a lot of gamers, to be honest, we don't have a clue. I mean, you're making a game. I mean, I don't have a clue about that, right? I don't know how, you know, the structure really is, the day-to-day really is. So, you know, I'm all about protecting them and making sure that they're okay. And if this starts off a reaction where we can get something in place from a union, I'm not opposed to it. So I think my only question here is I would like to speak to Jez on this. Just in terms of now that this has happened, how does this affect the acquisition, right? And how it operates? There's a lot of there's probably also a whole law question. Like there's a lot of the legal ramifications of this union forming. You know, how is it recognized moving forward in an acquisition phase, and then does this set off a trend of chain reaction where other studios can do something like this? I think that's where my interest lies. Or is this just some small, self-contained, and I hate to be disrespectful, like, you know, symbolic move where change is not really happening? So that's where I'm curious. I have questions.
Yeah, no, you completely perfectly replicated my thoughts. I actually don't think I can add anything to that. I just I'm like you. I'm very pro developer. I know it's a part of the industry that kind of feels like it's fallen behind a bit on the times. I know there's always been some pushback, some questions about how unionization in the games industry would work. But I think we have seen so many unexpected layoffs happen that this is something we do need to be aware of and just keep an eye on. I'm curious again if this will be the start of a chain reaction or not. I'm also going to be the first to admit, like, I'm not extremely educated on this type of stuff at this moment in time. So it's something I'm learning as I go along, and I don't want to sit here and spout thoughts that I'm not fully educated on. So it's something I'm looking into, I'm learning more about, and I think one of the best ways I can learn is by seeing how things unfold, how things were pre unionization versus how they are now. And I know we could take a look at general occupations outside of gaming to learn more about that, which is part of what I'm doing here. But it's funny. I think about this is a kind of off-topic story, but I think about umpires in the MLB and how they have a union that protects them. And I think about how fucking bad some umps are and how they need to be fired, just shot out of a cannon out of the MLB, but they can't because of the union. And it's amazing how much it can protect them, or like the bad teachers, who I believe also get protected by a union, man. So I don't know. We'll see how it all goes. That's sometimes what I think of. I'm not going to paint it like it's a negative thing, but it's definitely one of the first things that comes to my mind.
Good call. Strike three. What?
Yeah. Angel Hernandez, for those who don't know.
Oh,
yeah.
Shots.
Yeah.
Yo, I can see real quick, secret side tangent. When I play MLB The Show, there's a part of me that loves the realism of a variable strike zone. Because I'm like, yo, that was a strike, bro. Come on, that was bad. And then when the computer do it, you be like, oh, come on, man. It goes to show you that the volatility and the variability of certain strike zones and umpires.
Imagine if they had it with the Kinect being put in the box of the Series X while Game Pass was bringing MLB The Show day one, and like it could do what NBA did, where if you argued the refs while your Kinect was plugged in, they'd give you technical fouls. Tee you up. I'm just like, imagine you're doing that with the dynamic strike zone. You're like, that was a fucking strike, or that was a ball, man. He just tosses you from the game. You're like, wait, what happened?
I remember that. I remember when they tried to put that in Kinect games. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
All right, number 6 is less news in the terms of it being like an official thing and more so a conversation. That TCL Technology is saying that a new Xbox Series X and PS5 Pro are possibly coming in 2023, 2024. But this is by their own estimation. And I did see some headlines run around saying like, oh, this is going to be a new console leak of some kind. And so I just wanted to have a brief conversation about this, because we did talk a little bit last week about how long these generations may be and what you do anticipate by this point in the life cycle for these consoles, right? 2023, 2024, we're 3+ years in. Are you expecting any type of mid-gen refresh? I feel like it's going to be stretched out a bit more. And I feel like if we see anything in that window, it'll probably be like a smaller PS5. I don't think we're going to see any hardware revisions due to chip shortages until like 2024. But how are you feeling about what TCL is predicting?
Yeah, 100% with you. I think, shout out to TCL. They get so much slander on the Hello podcast. King be slandering.
Wait, why? What do they do?
Oh my God, he disrespectful. He thinks it's the cheapest TV ever. How dare you be caught with them?
That's fair. That's actually
like
fair.
He's so disrespectful. Like it's to the point like it's a running joke, and he acts like other TVs are creme de la creme. And it's like, if you pick up your TV off the floor, is that really a TV?
Yeah.
When you go to Walmart, he's disrespectful. Yeah. He's out of pocket. But I said when TCL dropped the bag, I want to see you do a commercial and see all that slander go out the window. But anyway, jokes aside. But no, I'm with you. I think it will happen, but just not. It's way too early. I think the chip shortages, like you said, once that we get past that section, then it's just going to be a matter of things getting smaller, more efficient, and then maybe later, in the generation. I think this generation has got stunted with the pandemic and the chip shortage. Now it's back. So I'm with you. Shout out to LongNet. I think one of my guys, Mads Gaming at the time, they did see some patents for like PS4, PS5 Pro and all that other stuff. But sure. I think it does happen. It's just way later.
I think it's going to happen. I just feel like we haven't. Do you feel the same way? And maybe it's because we're on the Xbox side of things. I'm still playing the PS5 exclusives, but I feel like in some respects, and I know this could be taken out of context and twisted, I feel like in some respects that we're still just getting started. Like, and I'm talking even on a third-party basis. Like, we're just starting now to see games like drop their previous gen version, like Gotham Knights. I feel like we're just getting there now, and I know it's generally replicating a pattern we've seen in the past, but it feels more stretched out this time around. And so I feel like due to these slow adoptions, understandably so, it's high cost, high failure risk. Of course they're going to take their time. I feel like we're due for a kind of 360 gen, PS3 gen. I feel like this is going to be a longer one, and so those refreshes will come a little bit later as well.
Yeah, I think the console hardware started off pretty strong initially, where they needed to be to start the generation, as opposed to the Xbox One and PS4 era, which I feel were really not as good on the CPU level. That's why we didn't see the 60 frame games enough that we thought we wanted. I think that, yeah, I think I'm with you. I think that it not only does it start much later. Yeah, it's just different. I think I'm with you. Like we haven't hit the surface, and you've seen the decisions even by Sony, where it's like, yo, we're still doing cross generational stuff on our big
Yeah.
titles because that base is still big, and then combine that with the chip shortages, it doesn't make
hard to leave
financial
behind.
sense to limit it yet. So we still got it. That extends the beginning of the generation even further than normally would when we make that hard drop. So I'm with you.
Absolutely. That's all we got for the news this week. It's time for our Game Pass Back Compat pick of the week. And you picked one that I didn't even know was on the service. So let's hear what you got to say about this one.
Yeah, man, Cog, all about the genres and looking at what's deficient. And, I'm a fighting game guy. And for me, I had a fighting game fix over the weekend. And I'm like, damn, I remember when xCloud dropped, Tekken initially was on the xCloud service. And I was like, oh, I got Tekken on the go. Good quality fighting game. And then when xCloud officially launched, I was like, where's Tekken at? Why is it not on Game Pass? Which led me to my choice. MK11, man, Aftermath, the Aftermath DLC. And currently right now, the full package is on there. Because when I had bought Aftermath after, and before it actually the full thing came onto Game Pass. So if you haven't played like this, let me tell you right now, Mortal Kombat is the king of fighting games having a cinematic story that is cohesive, that is done well. They've changed the timeline of Mortal Kombat. They've got this great boss called Chronica. She's messing with the timelines and changing the events of Mortal Kombat history to suit her needs. So what you have is all the characters in this precarious position and unholy alliances and people that would normally not be friends. And the cool thing about the main story, which was amazing, right? You get to play as all the different characters and their role in this story towards Chronica. What's dope about Aftermath is now that, spoiler, but I ain't gonna say it, that now that there a certain fighter
You were about to get
has
spicy
won.
again with another spoiler. That would have been number two.
I was like, yeah, let me stop. That's too many spoilers. Let me calm down. The certain fighter has won and is now in control of the timeline. Something so cool happens with another mainstay character.
Oh,
and
they build off of that?
It's something so cool. And basically, this DLC starts right at the end and it's another storyline DLC meaty. Another, let's say 6 to 8 on top of it. And now the events of the Aftermath are so well. And I beat it. And I'm going to tell you right now, Maddie, like, let me tell you right now, this is bold storytelling. This is, I'm not going to go Final Fantasy VII Remake where people will be scared, but they're making some bold choices. And I can't wait to see where this goes. Shout out to Boone and the team. First of all, the graphically, Unreal Engine still is moving out here. One of the best fighting systems going. You got a ton of replay value. You got all DLC. And then here's the thing. They've added so much, Maddie. You got like RoboCop in the game. You can do RoboCop versus Terminator. Yeah. You got Rambo in the game. Like because they're utilizing the movie properties for their little extra bonus characters. You know what I'm saying? Little sideshow fun characters. The game has a ton of replayability. If you had played Mortal Kombat, let's say you played it, but you went away, get in the Game Pass. They got the Aftermath, the whole collection. Bro.
Yeah, what interested me here is not that it was MK11, which I played, I reviewed. I love that game. I didn't know Aftermath, like the whole expansion.
Bro, that Aftermath is fire. It is a separate game now. That's a continuation once you beat the story. I highly recommend top tier storytelling for a fighting game, of course. You know what I'm saying? I got to be careful because Maddie's out here. He going to critique the hell.
Yeah.
Fighting game because he going to be like, oh, we're going to have a talk about this. You said that this was. I was just
oh, no.
I forget that you and ACG are what I consider like these you guys are top tier reviewers. You guys break down.
you.
No, you guys are, but like you will break down the way you broke down. I'm like, damn, you described it so good. Like I'm not. That's not my strength. Like, you got the details, the minutia. So for me, I will talk in general terms, and I'll be like, okay, for a fighting game, this is really good and good production value. You know what I'm saying? So that's what why I like it so much, Maddie. I love fighters. Xbox, you're deficient. And I smile and I sit there and I see NetherRealm. Xbox, you're deficient. So yes, I'm going to push for the acquisition.
Oh,
how about
again?
How about that? 3 weeks in a row. I'm outside and I don't care what you feel. So my thing is, no, bro, like I look at this, you know what's sad? And I hate to go on another tangent, is that I open up the Game Pass app on my phone. I look at it, they got a section, man. It's called Fighters and Brawlers.
One
This
game.
is the most anemic section I have ever seen. And I'm like, and y'all wondering why I'm pushing for acquisition? This is pathetic. Like, there's no Tekken, there's no Street Fighter. Like, what's going on? Yeah. I'm an FGC kid to the day. I'm the kid that was outside playing in the arcades, challenging, putting my quarters up and do. That's how I earned my stripes. The Ninja earned before Shinobi Arcade. It was Tekken, the Mortal Kombat. That's what I do. So it burns my heart. It kills me when I see no fighting games on the platform. And I'm not even a Killer Instinct guy, but I'm like, yo, they deserve a sequel. So,
dude,
bro.
On that note, oh my God, do they ever? You may not be a Killer Instinct guy. I am. That game was amazing. That I still stand by it. I thought Xbox One had the superior launch lineup when it came to that launch of the consoles. They fucked a lot of things up, but I thought their launch lineup was strong. Killer Instinct in 2014 was one of the or 2013, was one of the best fighting games I've played, man. That shit was cash money, and they added so much to it afterwards. They put the Arbiter in the game, man. They put Battletoads in the game. Like, they just started to make it the platform fighter, and I was like, this is so smart, because they made the story mode, the arcade mode, like they built on top of something that was working so well, and then they started adding guest characters. I was like, yes, keep going. They did a phenomenal job with that, man. Phenomenal job. Bro.
And that's what I'm saying. The sign of intelligence is working on your weaknesses and deficiencies, especially if you don't have that in-house. You know what I'm saying? No one's saying that there's not a problem and not to fix the problem that's existing, which is delivering things on cadence. But we do have a genre issue. We've got gaps. And that's why when I'm playing Mortal Kombat 11 and I'm smiling ear to ear. This is a high quality fighting game, and I loved it, man. So yeah, salute to the FGC community. I'm always going to be in my roots, and I was glad to see this game still in Game Pass. And for those who haven't played, please play the Aftermath DLC. It's excellent.
Absolutely. All right, let's move into our final questions for this episode. We'll start off with a simple one from Adam Razak, who writes, "Hello, Dukes. Has there ever been a game that has made you laugh so hard to the point of tears, be it intentionally or not?" You're nodding your head, surely. What comes to mind for you?
Tales of the Borderlands. Bro, hilarious.
Okay.
Shout out to Duke Ryan McCaffrey. Yeah. He got his twin up in there.
Yep.
The game is so funny. I still, I don't know what year that game came out. That was during at least the Xbox One era, I'm going to say.
14, I want to say.
Yes. Bro, on my Xbox game DVR, I have two of the most funniest moments recorded from that game, and I still go back to it and watch. I still have it on my... I can't delete it. It is such a fun, silly game. It was literally my introduction to the universe, because I'm a late Borderlands guy. I came way late. I didn't know anything. And people were like, no, it's self-contained story. You can learn about Reese. You can learn about all this other stuff. And bro, I was having a ball. That game is hilarious.
Nice.
So yeah, that was mine.
I'm trying to think, and I got to throw South Park out there. The South Park games are off the chain. I actually got to say, I'm very surprised Ubisoft made what I thought was one of the funnier games. You know, they don't strike me as the bold and rash kind of game developer, but yeah, there was the scene where you were like in a strip club and you had to like fart on people's dicks to like to I think to complete like a mission. There was another one where there's a boss fight against Jared from Subway, and he's fighting these little kids, and he's got like a Subway sandwich where he's, what is, and he's like humping and shooting out mayonnaise as like an attack. I'm like, yo, this is fucking insane, bro. It's so crude. I can't believe it. I that's the thing. It was more like I was dumbfounded. I was like, this is in a game, man. This is permanently. This was passed through a ton of execs. They looked at it and they said, ship it. Like I thought that was hilarious. And then another game that I thought was really funny, a more recent one, was Stranger of Paradise. This Final Fantasy game was so self-aware that they had an ass protagonist, that they had a really generic story, that they just took the ball and ran with it. It made Jack Garland this like ultimate Chad and was just telling main characters everywhere, shut up, I don't care, fuck you. Like he didn't care. And so I was laughing my whole way through that playthrough. It was not a great game in my opinion, but it was highly entertaining because it was very self-aware of what it was. So those would definitely top my list.
Nice. Love the list.
Have you played the South Park games, by the way?
It was just too much, bro.
What?
I was just like, they do. I watch Addict play. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's just so over the top. I'm like, I can't. But they're funny. I watch them play. It's just absolute madness going on. I'm like, yo, I see why these are below. Yeah. I see why. You just having a romp, just being silly.
Absolutely. Takayaki writes in, hey there, Godskin Duke duos. I hear fitness become a topic of discussion briefly in the past couple of episodes, especially from Maddie, who said that he listened to some video game and anime music while working out. My question is, what in particular do you listen to? My workout playlist consists of Halo 2 and 3 OST, Sonic Adventure 2, a bunch of Naruto, Bleach, Overlord, FMA, and My Hero opening themes. Love to know your weeb/nerd music opinions so I can add more to my workout playlist. Thanks, and have a I just bought new shoes and immediately someone stepped on them kind of day.
That's the worst, too. You got the fly new pair. Dude, somebody got the footprint.
The most like hilarious purchase I think I've made with, I don't have fuck you money, but it was definitely like a fuck you money type of move, was after I made a Fallout 76 preview video in 2018. It got like 2.3 million views, and everyone can do the math. Like, obviously that video made a lot of money. So I was like, I'm gonna treat myself. So I bought these Dragon Ball shoes, right? These Goku Dragon Ball shoes, the limited Adidas ones. They were like $300, but I was like, I bought them from StockX. I was like, screw it. I'm gonna get them. Day one, exactly right. Someone stepped on them. I was like, and now I barely wear them because I'm just terrified of it. They just kind of sit there. I'm just like, I wear them on. They're like my special occasion shoes. And it's so funny because they're so loud. Like, they're definitely not special occasion shoes at all. Anyway, it just reminded me of that. Cog, you and I are proponents of the anime video game music workout playlist. What do you got in there that gets the blood pumping a little bit more, and you dial in, you start to feel like that character, you get one extra rep in? What have you been listening to?
Yeah. All right. Lately, I'm gonna show my age. I'm really old. There is back in my day, there used to be an anime that I really fell in love with, and it's called Gatchaman. And Gatchaman is the space science ninja team. It was these 5 kids. They got these cool outfits. They look like birds, and they would jump in this ship. All right, real quick. Like, they all have their individual vehicles. And then they would jump into this ship called the Phoenix, right? And the Phoenix was like the ultimate super move. And they would do this thing called the Fiery Phoenix, and the ship was invincible. It was a very cool, ahead of its time. Now, the American counterpart was called Battle of the Planets, and it was stolen from Gatchaman, which was more raw and raunchy. I guess they figured it was too raw for American kids at that time. So they desensitized certain things. So I didn't even know about Gatchaman. I knew about Battle of the Planets and G-Force. So the themes from that joint are very inspiring. But get this, man. Okay. So Cog does his research, and when I found out, I'm like, my joint is some light imitation. The anime is the real Gatchaman. And I heard the theme song. It is the most, something was borderline goofy but inspirational. Yeah. It just got this da-da, 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 da-da. I was like, yo, what is this? Like, the man is literally singing a full song for Gatchaman. And I'm like, I love this. This is bro, when I hear that, you can't tell me how I'm gonna kill that Stairmaster. You ain't gonna tell me how I ain't gonna kill that elliptical, that treadmill. Don't let me be on the track and gotcha mod. Come on. It's over. Like I'm the science ninja team. That's my joint. So yeah, that's one of those. As far as the rest, Halo Infinite, I've been rocking. Shout out to Gareth Coker. Some of the themes in there are really cool. I got 2 or 3 chats. I love the Escherum. The Escherum is dark. Love the Escherum song. You gotta listen to that on the soundtrack. And then I still got my Final Fantasy 7. I got a bunch of games in there. But right now it's been the Gachemon anime stuff, the Halo stuff, Streets of Rage and Tekken, of course, and Destiny, of course. I mean, Destiny music is just god tier. It's just, it is what it is. But let me hear what you rocking. What's going on with you?
Oh, dude. Anime playlist for days. Top one, number one recommendation, Takoyaki, is The Rumbling from season 4, part 2 of Attack on Titan, their intro. This is the most go hard track ever. I don't even know if you need anime context. I think it helps, of course. It always does. But this is just a song that goes ham, man.
What's the name of it?
The Rumbling.
Okay.
And it is one of my favorites, man. One of my favorite OPs for any anime ever. It really has season 1 vibes. But otherwise, this is like number 1 on my playlist. Like, it's usually my warm-up song. Like, it gets me in the vibe. And then I just shuffle from there. Like, this is the starter song every time. So I'm sure if you got things like Naruto, Bleach, Overlord, Full Metal Alchemist, My Hero, Takoyaki, you've probably taken a look at Attack on Titan. If you have yet to, this will be a game changer of a theme for you. I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. I love the DBS movie, the DBS Broly movie. So the Gogeta versus Broly song is like one of my favorites. Demon Slayer. I fucking love Demon Slayer, man. That's like my current favorite. This is a spoiler. Akaza versus Rengoku is one of my favorite tracks for sure. What else here? Hold on, I got my playlist right here. What else do we got here? The opening for Black Clover season 3. Kanabun. That's another one. That's Naruto though, so I'm sure you got that. Asian Kung Fu Generation. Oh, how could I forget? I'm not a big fan of the show, but Jujutsu Kaisen has like a god tier soundtrack. JJK.
Pig put me onto that. Yeah, Pig put me onto that one.
Very good. So a lot of good anime picks, a lot of them new. For gaming.
Yes, I wanted a gaming.
Yeah, gaming, a lot of Neo The World Ends With You. Neo The World Ends With You has some fire music. Of course, Persona 5, Persona 4, Final Fantasy. I'm looking right now. What else do I got here? Metal Gear Rising, A Stranger I Remain is a really good one.
Okay.
What else we got here? I got Sonic Adventure 2 in here. I forgot about that. Trails, of course. Trails in the Sky. Yeah, a lot of JRPGs, as you can tell. I have not really expanded into Western stuff. Like for me, maybe it's because I work with the OST a lot. So if I were to hear Skyrim or Fallout 3's battle music, I don't really feel anything as of this moment in time. But something like one thing I want to add, because you saying Halo and Takoyaki writing Halo, I want to add "We're the Desperate Measures" from ODST. That is my favorite Halo track of all of them. So for sure, I want to throw that in there.
I forgot too as well. Now you got me thinking. Another thing that it's hard to find because they really don't have music. But I'm a big title screen music guy.
Oh yeah.
Like to me, this is where I give you like. Obviously, we know Skyrim. Fallout that hits different.
Okay.
Like that is very that doom doom. When that hits different. And so one of the newer ones I gotta get. Obsidian's outside. Yo, Outer Worlds. You let Outer Worlds sit in the title screen. Bro, Outer Worlds is fire.
Yes.
That theme, when you just let it sit, that's some orchestral joint. That's crazy. I love it. That's a journey. You going somewhere.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I'm also a title screen theme guy.
Oh, Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, okay. I've heard that one.
I've heard that one. I love westernized music. There's plenty of great tracks out there that I do love. Like for me, they're great at ambience, right? For me, your KOTORs, your Skyrims, your Fallouts, the list goes on. To me, they set the tone for the game world and really help the game more than any of these tracks I'm mentioning do. it's just that like for these Japanese tracks, man, like they just hit a hype level that lets you feel like you're the character in that moment. And it just pushes me constantly over the edge. So highly recommend checking those out. Thank you, Takayaki.
Salute.
All right, Rob P is our next write-in. Good day, Dukes. Much has been said on DD about Sony's tactics involving timed exclusives and your distaste for the practice. I realize it's frustrating in the case of a game like Final Fantasy VII Remake, which has never actually been announced for Xbox, where Xbox fans keep thinking it's about to happen but wind up disappointed. So my question is this: why is this frowned upon while the idea of Xbox buying studios and publishers praised? At least with a timed exclusive, Xbox players will eventually get the game, but PS players won't get them at all. This, of course, works the other way around. Would you prefer Sony just buy Square Enix and keep all the games permanently exclusive? I know you two are Xbox fans, but this seems like fanboy mentality to me, and you two aren't fanboys, at least not in the negative sense. From one of your PlayStation fans, keep up the good work. Have a Phil just took another game away from me kind of day. Oh, Phil, what are you doing? Cog, I know you've been king acquisition here. Not to throw you under a bus, just I know that's what it's been your vibe. So I want to have you start things off here. What is the differentiation for you, if any at all, between timed exclusives and acquisitions?
Great question. Shout out to Rob P. I love this.
Really
I have listen, like, this is the game. I have no problem with either. I literally don't. Like, I want to be very clear. Like, when I was talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake exclusivity, to me, that's what Sony's supposed to do to combat Game Pass, to combat, like, you're supposed to make that game marketing wise associate with you, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're supposed to make the casual fan think that the only place they can play it is on the PlayStation. I don't have a problem with it, because my thing is, I got everything. I'm gonna get it. Yeah. I'm not deprived. So the thing is, where the other side, where it's frowned upon, I'm not frowned upon Microsoft making acquisitions either, because my thing is, their whole thing, this is why I'm team acquisition, so people can understand it's just not this evil old cogs just trying to destroy and be really rambunctious and all this. What it is that I know what their mission is. Their mission is, we got this service, right? And we want to promote this service. It's not our end all be all, but it's a big part of our mission. And if we intend to have this quarterly, because this is what they say, their goal, they didn't say it's definitely happening, but they said their goal is to have this quarterly cadence of these high quality games coming out in the service, then guess what? You're going to need more studios than what you have, because look at what happened to them this year. Because they had all their eggs in the basket, whether you call it mismanagement or not, of Bethesda. Bethesda was supposed to save them this year because the first party stuff wasn't ready. So that's why the Starfield and the Redfall really hurts them, because there was no contingency. Mm-hmm. So I am all about, imagine if you had, another studio that was already acquired that could fill in the gap for those years that you don't have stuff. So that's how I look at it. I think it's part of the game. I come from an era, man. Let me just put it this way.
Sure.
I come from an era where I was a Genesis kid, I was a Sega kid, and I lived around Nintendo fans, right? They had that NES, and I was like, damn, that Mario looking popping. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Damn, that Mike Tyson Punch-Out looking popping. Like, damn, I don't got that. I gotta go get that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I come from. It's not about limiting anybody. It's about making your platform the most attractive it can be to get people into your ecosystem. I wasn't mad when Sony did the Street Fighter exclusive. I wasn't mad when anybody. I'm not mad at that. That to me is part of the game. That's what you're supposed to do to get people in. So I think that's what it is. I don't think it's. I've seen his question and I actually like it. Mm-hmm. I just think that, unfortunately, some people, for whatever reason, don't want to try another ecosystem. They're just completely married to theirs. And that's their right, but that's just not how I think. I think these companies have to do what's best for them. And I think Sony doing timed exclusives is a good counterpunch to Microsoft's Game Pass and marketing. You know what I'm saying? And I think Microsoft, knowing that they need this service to feed it, they have to acquire people who make quality games to put games into their service. So I don't have a problem with either approach.
Yeah, very well said. On the note of 7 Remake not being announced for Xbox, that's true, but it was said on the box art of the game that it had 1-year exclusivity. And we didn't know if that was PC, which Xbox could work around, by the way, or if that meant console. And then they brought it to PC with a really bad port. And then they extended seemingly the exclusivity window again, because we saw in a trailer for Intergrade. So it's never been clear, the messaging on it. It's very obvious whether we want to accept it or not. We can read between the lines here that PlayStation is paying to keep it off of Xbox. The reason for that is I look at Final Fantasy 14. This is the most poppin' MMO right now. This is the reason Square Enix Japan is able to be a bunch of morons and still make out like bandits. With all of their miscalculations, their mistakes, they still make out like bandits. And guess what they said when bringing it to Xbox? They said, we don't have the budget for that. Give me a break. So my response to that, Rob, is absolutely that PlayStation is keeping it off their platforms. Feel free to educate me otherwise, but nothing suggests, well, what you said is true, that it was never officially announced. Nothing suggests that it's just an Xbox choice here.
Again, I'm not mad at that. I just want everybody to keep the correct energy when both companies do things that's best for them. And the same way that you said that so eloquently about Final Fantasy VII and the paying off, I mean, paying off, but paying to keep things, extend exclusivity deals.
Yes.
I've had Hogue Law on, right? I am the biggest Destiny fanboy they are. And I'm like, yo, Destiny 1, how is it? They said, say how you had the verbiage where it said 1-year exclusivity. Mm-hmm. I remember the content for the Taken King, 1-year exclusivity, and then Xbox players would get The year ended up, and it was no game, none of that content came. And I'm like, yo, what happened? How is it that Bungie or is doing this and eliminating this from? And he was like, no, based on the contract, this is between Sony and Activision, who at the time held owned Bungie. So that's what these deals happen. And what Sony is, to me, is crafty. Is they're like, yo. What Final Fantasy you said? Like, that's the most popular Final Fantasy. They take bets. I think that's intelligence. You're taking educated bets on what you think is pop culture, KOTOR remake. Mm-hmm. That is smart. Mm-hmm. Like, absolutely. Xbox, you ain't gonna pay for that. Guess who is? Oh, Xbox, you don't want Wolverine? You don't. Okay, like, we got this great relationship with Insomniac after Spider-Man. Yeah. That's intelligence. I don't see why people get so emotionally, because to me, you can't have a moral compass that one is bad and the other one, you know what I'm saying? They're both doing what's best for them. So you have to choose, if you're a gamer, to get it on the platform and get the other platform if you truly love that game. Yeah,
absolutely. You've said it again so perfectly. It's really difficult to add on to your statements. For me personally, my perspective is that I think the timed exclusivity windows for Xbox are much shorter. That's kind of my rationale for it. We've seen, I think, a max of 6 months as of recently with The Ascent, by the way, and it still came to PlayStation quick. Things like Death's Door, which is a big driver of sales for the indie market, 3 months. Stalker 2 was going to be 3 months, according to Epic Apple court case. That's really my rationale for it, is like, you will get your games pretty quickly. When they're on PlayStation, it is an anomaly. You don't know if or when you'll get it. With Xbox, when they acquire someone, you're probably not getting it. Call of Duty withstanding, we'll find out more about what they plan to do with Activision games, stuff like Diablo or whatever. We'll find out. But otherwise, I think there's just an unknown there with PlayStation, which is why I do admittedly bitch sometimes. I'm just like, I don't care if they take it, because much like Cog said, I have both. I have them all. I'm very fortunate to have them all, so I have those options. I will get them. I don't really have a horse in that race at all. It's really just a level of communication. And it's particularly 7 Remake is where a lot of us hang our hat on that. That was not communicated well at all. It was a timed exclusive. We know what that verbiage means. Every single other scenario outside of this one, it means that it will come to everything else when that time is up. And that the company paying for that exclusive contract is making it where their platform is more attractive and associate with that game, and people's patience will wear out, and they'll go and pick that game up for that console. Otherwise, though, it's not something I try to size up personally and say like, oh, well, Xbox can go buy these studios, but you can't get these. Again, they're going to do what's best for them. I have said for months, I believe that, not even I believe, I know I've said for months that, it sucks for some of these companies that people really love. We call it catch the bullet kind of acquisitions, where some people get hit by these, and it's like, oh man, I really liked Bethesda games, and now they're going to Xbox. I don't have the money for that. My defense point to that, and I'm not trying to bend over backwards for Xbox, but let's just face facts. Xbox's games are much more attainable. With PC, with Game Pass, you don't got to buy these things at full price when they finally come out. Like when Starfield comes out, if you are a PlayStation owner, that's what I always say. If you're a PlayStation owner and you got a decent PC or eventually decent internet and you could cloud stream it, I know it's not ideal, but let's think about it. Just let's be rational. Something like Starfield, let's say that's a one game out of everything Bethesda's offering you after this showcase that you're like, yeah, you know what? I really want that, but I don't want to buy a whole console for that. That's ridiculous. With Xbox, that's going to be exclusive forever. But there are ways in that don't cost you hundreds of dollars to access that content. Again, it sucks on both ends if you're a consumer. It's rational business moves on both ends if you are in this company. But to me, I just feel like Xbox's games are way more accessible. And so that's where I kind of put my stake in the ground on it. You know, not outraged, but just that's how it is.
No, well said. Well said. I've had to make those tough decisions, and I do want to be fair. Like you said, I'm empathetic, right? I am empathetic to people who like something and want to play it on, you know, the ecosystem that they prefer to play it on. You know, I've made even decisions where I've had to get two versions of something. Where I remember when Tekken 7 came out, and damn, I'm like, all right, it's finally on Xbox. Yes. But then I seen Sony, and I'm like, damn, they got like this jukebox mode with all the Tekken music from every Tekken game ever made. Then they got these extra. So I'm like, my friends are here. They got extra content. All right, I'm getting bored. just so I didn't miss out. And then they come to find out that the PlayStation version, they had like a 1080p. The PS4 version was 1080p, and what you call it was 720. Like I was going back and forth. I was playing my friends sometimes playing over here with extra features. It's not easy. I get it, you know. But at the same time, corporations going to cooperate, and that's just the name of the game to me. So
absolutely, Rob P. Thank you so much for writing it. Great, intelligent, thoughtful write in there. Certainly, you've been listening closely, and we appreciate that. Flaunty writes in. Hope you're having it. By the way, I should mention that doesn't mean other write-ins are not thoughtful or intelligent. Just that I want to make that clear.
Shout out to all the write-ins.
Shout out all the other write-ins. You're all right. Rob P. though. No, I'm just kidding.
Rob P. though. I
just want to make that clear. Anyway, Flauncy writes in. Hope you're having a good day, Dukes. I watched Maddie's video about Xbox's one true weakness, and I'm wondering whether or not it's time to start pressuring Japanese publishers and developers to bring their games to Xbox. Xbox seems to be in a situation where they have to pay for every Japanese game that releases on the console, and I'm not sure that it's a realistic expectation for us to have. You're chuckling a little bit. What do you think about Flaunty's take here?
What does that mean? Pressure you? You better.
Yeah.
we go grab up Atlas. Yo, stop.
Like a little headlock, and you're just like hitting him with jabs in the stomach. Come on, bring Persona 5 over.
It was like I don't know. Shout out to Floyd. It's a great question. It's just I visualize a funny like movie in my head of us, you know, people going and strong arming developers. But look, you know, they got it. They got it. Xbox has to continue to show that they're serious with it. They're making strides. They're making improvements and trying to get games to make sure it doesn't miss the platform more than other generations. I agree. They have to continue that mission. I don't really have too much more to add to it. I think they're doing a better job. I think they're doing a better. It's not perfect. There's still more to be done, but I think they're doing a better job.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Because here's what they're missing. I made a whole list of this because it bothered me so much.
Ooh.
SMT, Persona, Catherine, World Ends With You, East, Trails, Mana, Disgaea, Genshin Impact. That one I'm like,
ooh,
Genshin Impact.
Right. Genshin Impact is a big L.
Guilty Gear, Grand Blue, Voice of the Cards, Caligula Effect, Monarch, Crystar, any new Final Fantasies. They're missing a lot of big ones. I think Dragon Quest came late, so you can throw that in there. Yakuza came late. So there's a lot there that's missing that's being addressed. Currently, they have Tales of Arise, Soul Hackers 2, Danganronpa, Yakuza, Edge of Eternity, Scarlet Nexus. So as Cog said, they're getting better, but that list of them missing stuff is getting longer. So yeah, I don't think it's really pressure on them. It's pressure on them as in the Japanese publishers and developers. I think it's pressure on Xbox, right? To get involved in those ecosystems. And the way they did that, I said in the video, so you know this, Flaunty, but for those who didn't see it, what I said was the way you got people to buy in was it was a significant part of their ecosystem, right? When Xbox's JRPGs were popping off the most, and when you look at their sales, games like Star Ocean, which sold like 250,000 copies, Dead or Alive, which sold 250,000 copies, that was the original Xbox. Tales of Vesperia was around 250,000 as well. A ton of these games on this top 5 chart for Xbox's Japan sales, specifically the Japan region, were all Xbox 360, either timed exclusives, again, to kind of what we talked about earlier with PlayStation, the power of that, how it drives sales to your platforms. But you got to look at Xbox during the 360 era. What were they best known for? This is when Gears 3. This is when Halo 3. That's what they were known for, right? And a lot of people say JRPGs aren't the Xbox identity. That could not be any more untrue when you look at what they were known for in their heyday when PlayStation 3 was down and out in a lot of manners. And you had Xbox, the king of the multiplayer, making bomb JRPGs exclusive. Infinite Undiscovery, Lost Odyssey, so on and so forth, Spectral Force 3. The list goes on. There are a ton of great ones, and now they're all gone. I don't think it is a publisher or developer problem. It is Xbox investing in those ecosystems. And the way they did it was they invested in it. So guess what? People were buying 360s. Is why the 2.4, I think, 2.3 million total sales of Xbox hardware in Japan, 1.6 of those, which is way more than half, was 360. And it's no coincidence there. Invest in them. They will invest in you. It's not this bias. It's, to me, not this, Japanese only like PlayStation and Switch. No, they like when, just like any consumer, when you invest in their region. Why do you think Xbox does so well in the West? Because they do a lot of Western IP. It's just that simple. So to me, it's a matter of putting pressure on Xbox to really start to nurture these things and put the Game Pass boner away and really start to actually work on timed exclusive deals if they can and really get the ball rolling on this. We don't need everything day one on Game Pass. Just invest in that ecosystem. Make sure things are there on a third-party capability or on a third-party basis day one. Just in general, day one. We don't need the special deals. Just be there as a presence saying we offer that option, as you did with the 360. Then bring it up a notch, okay? That's what they got to do. So that's my very passionate read on it. If there's anything that fires me up more than the achievements, it's 100% Xbox's JRPG problem. I can't stand it.
I feel you. Well said. And very, good. Not too much I could add there. But I mean, critical, the market, you don't want to completely give up on it. And I think to their benefit, Series S being the smaller, attractive model, I get your points on Game Pass, but I'm with you. They cannot miss the launches. They can't miss the it doesn't launch on your platform and everyone else, and then you come later. Yeah, right. I agree.
Because I look at right now, I think it's Soul Hackers 2 won't be on Switch, I want to say. I'll have to double check that. It won't be on one of Switch or PlayStation. And it's that moment where you look at it and go, well, that's really weird. You don't get that feeling with Xbox. It's become an expectation. It was not originally that. Obviously, with the Xbox One gen, it makes complete sense. I get it. But when you look at what's happened here now, where they're doing better than they were before, I feel like now they got to invest. That's another thing I'm going to be on the lookout for in the next year or so. I like that they're getting in on Euden Chronicles. That game looks awesome. That is a big one. That is actually, I'm not even underselling. That's a huge, in my opinion. It's a good.
You gotta get them credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see more of that, though. More of that. Get involved.
Agreed.
All right. Let's talk to Anton K, who has a write-in about PS Plus. Hey, Double D's, gobbling on Double D's. I had a different thought than Maddie on the PS Plus new 2-hour trial. While I understand he's worried about the E3 level trickery by front-loading polish and features into the first 2 hours, I think this won't happen and could be beneficial to game design. With an E3 demo, that's all that's shown, literally. With the amount of review sites and streamers and honest review channels like the Iron Lords and Mr. Matty Plays, I don't think it's possible to snow people any longer. People like you and Cog will call out games if they're weak for the other 95% of the game's content. The benefit, I think, is that this offers time to engage. Look at a game like Wolfenstein New Order. That game would have died if it had a 2-hour trial, and it took that long before you were able to pick up a gun. What do you think? Love you both and have a, I thought my question had been good enough to make the show, but hasn't kind of day. Oh, no, Anton. Welcome aboard, Anton.
They coming for you.
No.
I'm gonna let you jump this one because he directed it towards you at first in reference to your thoughts on the trial stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair point by Anton. I think there's no counter argument I really have to it. It's really just a matter of trusting that the developers will make an even product from the first place, whether it's incentivized by this or not. I would hope their goal would be to make something balanced in the first place. I do think the trial program does incentivize them, though, to have a pretty bright spot in the game that could sell it more. But what's happening is as games open up more, I do have to counter myself and say that you can't control always where the player's going to go, what they're going to see. And a lot of people don't tolerate 2 hours of linearity. Remember what I said about Final Fantasy 13? That was 2009. People were popping off about linearity. So nowadays, I don't think it'll fly with things opening up more and more. You just got to make sure your whole thing is polished. And I wonder if one day people will break through and be like, I circumvented the trial and I got the full game here. And if you're not providing, then that's another problem if people start to figure that out. I don't think they will. I imagine PlayStation has taken every measure possible to make sure that this won't be an issue for them. But Anton, completely fair counterpoint here. Nothing to really disarm you with here. I think it's very possible that it could incentivize them. Like, let's balance this whole product out, which should be the goal from the start.
Yeah, not much to add. I was just like, I'm going to monitor this situation very closely because I want to see what games get put into the trials. I believe it was Horizon Forbidden West was one of them, and Cyberpunk, I believe.
Yes,
Cyberpunk.
And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was another.
And Tiny Tina, yeah. So it's interesting what the third party participation. I'm interested just to see how the data comes back to them. Is that influencing purchases, right? Because they say it allows you to keep your save data. Basically, it's the equivalent of like the EA joint. The EA Play was kind of like, what's it, 8 hours or whatever it was. So what does 2 hours feel like to the gamer, and how does the gamer respond? And does it have a positive effect or does it have a negative effect where people are like, I'm good. I saw what I need to see and maybe I don't buy. I don't know. This is new territory for me. That it's interesting how Sony the approach here. So I'm just curious to see the results it yields or doesn't yield.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. But Anton, thank you for the write-in. I thought we had more beyond that, but we actually don't. That was our last write-in of the show. I was like, I just strolled into Anton. Normally I announce it's the last question, but yeah, that was the last one. So show's over, Cog. How you feeling?
Great show, man. Very, very passionate. I had thoughts today. I was a little spicy today.
Was it something?
So I apologize for the spice. I don't know. I was just fired up. But man, it's a good show. Good show. Great questions.
Yes.
Love what people wrote in. And yeah, man. I don't know. Like I got thoughts on hashtags. I know we talked about the Marvel joint. I know I talked about the acquisition stuff. We talked about the Japanese stuff. I don't know what you thinking. I'll let you choose. What you
I like where your head's at with the superhero stuff, right? I know we're gonna kind of name this episode, I think, based off Game Pass. Because I know that was the zeitgeist.
Game Pass, a big thing. Yeah. Mr. Matty knows about the zeitgeist, so I gotta defer there.
Cancel DD.
Ooh, okay. Did we never had a cancel one before, right?
It sounds familiar when I roll it off the tongue. I'll be honest.
But you may be right. I don't think we've ever had because everybody can't. Yeah, cancel.
You know what I can do? We should just start doing this. I can search cancel DD.
Yeah, check. Yeah. Have to. I don't think we have. It feels like we have it. Maybe we haven't.
Let's see here.
I'm gonna say no. Let's see. Let me know if we have.
Well, someone's.
Someone said canceled it.
Yeah, wait. Someone is getting canceled with the hashtag cancel DD. I'm trying to. I don't know if I.
What that was.
This goes back to 2013.
Okay.
This is all over the place. I think we're fine, but
all right, cool.
But I guess to be safe, do you want to just do Marvel DD just so we don't get wrapped up with another?
Yeah, we won't get wrapped up with some other nonsense. Your Twitter streets is real.
Just after this week, it's just like, no, let's just not.
Bro, these dudes out here, blood, sweat, and tears. They ready to shoot their best friend over some games. I'm good with y'all, fam.
Yeah. So we'll do the hashtag Marvel DD. We'll keep it nice and simple. You got this deep into the show. You want to let us know? I'm at G27status on Twitter. That is at Lord Cognito. You can tag both of us. Let us know your thoughts on the show. Again, hashtag Marvel DD. Social media ain't your thing. Certainly that's understandable, especially as of late. Use the comments. Use the Patreon comments, video comments. Again, hashtag Marvel DD. Let us know your thoughts. Cog, any wrap-up thoughts, or shall we get on out of here?
Yeah, man. Great show. Loved it as usual. Looking forward to everything that we got going on in the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited, man. Great show. The Dukes are back. We back, man.
Absolutely. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, take excellent care of yourselves, decent care of yourselves, whichever works for you. And we'll see you in the next episode of Defining Duke. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.